Thank you, sir. Dr. Joshi?
Yeah, is it, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Okay, so wonderful topic and good presentation. How many years of data you have used?
I have 29 years.
Pardon me, how many years?
29 years.
29 years. And have you been able to, have you also undertaken some of the important events like some important policy issues or how this for FDI investment and foreign, how many individuals, how much foreign currency is allowed because of the liberalization or not during these years or not? Have you chosen those important also, and have you also incorporated those aspects in your data and analysis also or not?
No, sir.
Because Paul, yeah. So okay, so there were remittances you have studied very well, but if you have any changes in the policy which significantly affect the, say for example, movement of Nepalese citizens outside Nepal, or how much foreign currency they can take with them, or Nepalese currency they can take with them. So those aspects also, or number of people who are actually living abroad, what is their income? Because these are the indicators which have a direct impact on remittances. Okay, so because 29 years the conditions have not remained same. So if you incorporate those also, some of the important points or important years, turning years, which have impacted remittances, then it will be an interesting study. You can actually find out which policy measure or which decision or what kind of behavior. Say for example, we all know that in case of uncertainty, people will send money back home. Okay, thank you very much. Requesting next speaker.
Dr. Joshi? Dr. Joshi, may I invite the next presenter?
The next speaker, please.
Okay, next presenter is from Nepal, PhD, lecturer of economics.
Your name? Ramesh Athe, and the co-author.
Yeah, there is Dr.
Ramesh Dwivedi and Ramesh Athe. Are they presenting now?
Yeah, they haven't been connected so far to the webinar. Now I kindly request from Nepal, lecturer of economics, Butul Multiple Campus, to present the research paper on perception of the stakeholders to resource mobilization in Rupandey district. Dr. Nepal?
Hello, I'm here. Yes.
Yes. Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah, please continue.
Thank you, sir. Respected chairperson of this session, it is my audible or not? Hello?
Yes, you are audible, sir.
Okay. Respected chairperson of this session, Professor Dr. Yogesh C. Joshi, Professor in Management, Sardar Patel University, Gujarat, India. Respected chief guest, special guest, campus chief, and other dignitaries of today's program. First of all, I want to give thanks to Lumidi Banjie campus for providing me this golden opportunity. Without delay, I want to present my slide. Can you provide me permission to share my slide? Can you provide me permission to share my slide?
Yes, sir. You have been given the permission to share your slide, sir.
Yeah, please share.
Option is not available here.
Sir, could you open your video?
My video is open, yeah.
Okay, could you please on your video.
Directly we can show, or it is visible or not, sir? It is
You
visible.
are, yeah,
No.
it is not.
Not visible.
Slide sharing option is not.
Okay, you can enable your video, sir. Okay, you could also share your.
Just please continue.
Yes, Pram, sir. Yes, you are visible now.
Okay. Yes, I'm going to present my slide. My article
Yes,
topic is
Prankshu.
okay. My article topic says perceptions of stakeholder in the field of resource mobilization in Rupanda district. It's me, Pram Sunepal. I'm working in the Tiruvan University in the Botol multiple campus. My article topic is perception of stakeholder in the field of resource mobilization in our district. Resources are an important components to uplift the socio-economic condition of the people. Resources are the input that the organization can convert into the product or services. Only the existence of resources cannot guarantee for the economic development of the country. Hence, identification and utilization of available resources in appropriate proportion is the greater challenges, especially for the developing country like ours. Collection and utilization of resources through a system of governments are prerequisite to achieve the desired goal of the society. Especially to achieve my objectives, especially that was my introduction portion. To achieve my objective of the article, I selected the Rupanda district because I also belongs to the same districts. It is convenience for me to collect the information also. For this research article, descriptive nature of research design was adapted to meet my objectives. For collecting the opinion of the stakeholder, I selected the 80 respondents out of the various field. Out of the 80 respondents, 25 was the government employees and 20 was the former official local governments, officers of the local governments, and 25 are from the different the political parties, NGOs, persons, representative of social development activities and civil societies, and 10 persons from the experts who have the sound knowledge about the fiscal decentralization, planning, and local development. I took only the 80 respondents and I prepared the questionnaire and I provided that questionnaire to them and I interviewed them and I found following things while discussing with them. In the field of internal resource mobilization, out of the 80 out of the 80 respondents, 75 respondents are not satisfied with the practice of internal resource mobilization in the local body in the Rupanda districts. In the field of local bodies formulation of revenue policy, 60 respondents replied that they are known, but 20 respondents replied that they are not known whether they formulate or not. In the field of expectation of revenue collection, whether that local bodies are collecting the revenue according to their expectation or not, in that question, almost already 100% respondents replied that local bodies are not able to collect the revenue according to their expectation. And similarly, they also replied that they are not satisfied with the current system of transfer system of the government. And similarly, in the field of resource mobilization, what are the role of the central and local governments? In regarding to that, I I discussed with them, and they replied that more 50% respondent replied that there is no, there should be to resource mobilization. There should be good relationship between different departments and different ministries. Especially in our country, there is no proper relationship, good relationship among the department. One department provide the promise, but another department or other ministries cannot provide the promise. Due to that, the local bodies, they are not able to utilize available resources also. And similarly, what are the problems, especially in the local bodies, for mobilizing the local resources? In regarding to that question, and many, more than 50% respondents replied that role of the political parties is not supporting. Means in our country, there are so many political parties. One party is ruling, and other parties are in opposition position, so they are not supporting. Due to that also, local bodies are not able to utilize the resources efficiently, especially in our districts. In the field of effective mobilization of resources, what we can do for the effective resource mobilization, more than 50%, that means out of the 80, 55 respondents replied that capacity of the local bodies needs to be enhanced, because the revenue department is there, but that department is not properly, they are not properly functioning. Due to that, that local bodies are not able to able to utilize their resources. And finally, this last question I asked, area of the capacity development of the local bodies. How we can how we can collect more revenue, how we can utilize that revenue. For this, more than 50%, that is 45 respondents replied that revenue section of the local bodies should be functioned properly, and they should not be given any interfere from the top level or other levels. If they are given autonomy, then they can function properly. And in my article, I found that many of the stakeholders, many of the stakeholders are not satisfied with the current local resource mobilization practices in our districts. There is resource gap in the local level to meet the aspiration and demand of the people's. People demands are more, but the local bodies cannot collect the revenue. In order to mobilize the resource efficiently in the development activities, capacity of the local bodies should be needs to be enhanced. And they also argue that political parties should be supportive. They should be constructive for the resource mobilization. And further, it is necessary for maintain the transparency and inclusive participation in the resource mobilization and decision making process. If this thing can be done, then we can mobilize, and then local resources can mobilize their resources and economy development is possible. This is my enough presentation. Thank you. Have a good day.
Yes, wonderful topic and wonderful presentation, Ramshu.
Yes, thank you, sir.
I liked one statement of yours, which I also practice.
Yes,
When
sir.
you are saying it is my native place, and so it is very, very good to know your own surroundings and your place where you are working, or which are easily accessible.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So therefore, this allows one to do research efficiently and know your own surroundings. They're very important when we do research in a globalized economy. We talk of what is happening in Switzerland, but we don't know what is happening in and around us. Very, very good topic. So that way you can conserve your resources also, and you can balance your research skills as well as your personal life, or your if you're doing a job in a college or in a bank, etc., etc. The second aspect was that have you just taken the opinion? Did you do what are the taxes which are, what are the sources of revenue of local bodies which are allowed, and how much the community of the local bodies, they are contributing to revenue generation? Are there any donors which are available? Okay, normally you will have some people who are from the village, who hail from village, and they contribute to the local development. You know, say for example, we were talking of remittances in the previous. Why somebody is sending remittances? Maybe because they belong to Nepal. Same way, how many people, individuals from the local area, we were talking of community participation in development. Okay, so the transfer of money which takes place from the central and the district is okay to the local bodies, but are the local bodies utilizing the resources? One is generating resources of their own, and whether they are utilizing it efficiently or not. So that aspect also, if you incorporate, then it will become more useful research. This part is okay. Now you understood that what is the opinion of the stakeholders, especially local body officials. But what can be given the situation? We cannot force the Prime Minister and the central government to give you the money, but within the constraints, how efficiently the local bodies can function. Say for example, I'll quote from my own experience. Local bodies, they have to spend on cleanliness, okay, waste management. But waste management is, if the local community don't create waste, then managing it also becomes, you can do it with less resources. So those are the aspects also which you can further incorporate in your research. Congratulations. We'll move on to the next presentation. Good study. You can gradually you can widen the scope of your study. You can incorporate local bodies from other regions of Nepal, also other districts of Nepal as well, and do a comparative study. What are the best practices which are being adopted by some of the better managed local bodies. Thank you very much, Pranshu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So we move on to the next presentation.
Okay, Professor Dr. Joshi. The next presenter of this track is Mr. Sonika Suman, research scholar from India. And I would like to request Ms. Sonika Suman to present her presentation over here.
Good
Ms.
afternoon,
Sonika.
everyone. Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, you are audible, Suman.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is Sonika Suman, research scholar of Sidhu Kanu Murmu University, Jharkhand State. I'm here to present the paper on the topic.
This is which city? This is which city from Jharkhand?
Dumka.
Dumka is the name of the city. Okay, great.
Suman, could you open your video, please?
Yes, sir. Okay. Should I continue?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. So I'm here to present the paper on the topic guarding needed for the business environment consequent on the COVID-19 pandemic. So first, I'll be talking about the background and problem statement. We know that the pandemic has hit the society like a global tsunami, disrupting travel, cutting off communities, shuttering factories, and shaking up economic markets. So the economic slowdown resulting out of the pandemic has disrupted various sectors, and the governments across the world are in efforts to shore up their efforts to revive the economies. Their efforts and methods used.
Suman,
Yes,
could
sir.
you share your slides with us?
Yes, sure, sir.
Please open your video as well as share your slides to us.
Okay, sir. Just give me a second. Okay, is it visible?
Yeah, it's visible now.
Okay, okay, sir.
Okay, could you open your video as well?
Yeah, this is better. This is better.
Okay, everything is fine. Should I continue?
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Okay, sir. Yes, I was talking about the background and the problem statement. So their efforts and the methods used will have long-lasting impact on the economies, and therefore the governments have to be careful for the steps taken by them. Next is, I'll talk about the research framework. The research framework is Over like 3 decades ago itself, the leadership theories in management propped up terms like VUCA as an acronym to mean the environmental volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. The recognition of this situation became all the more important in the military recognition of this situation from 2002. What is to be noted is that a new health challenge for all the people across the world was thrown up following the pandemic situation that arose because of the new coronavirus disease of 2019, popularly known as COVID-19. From the first quarter of 2020, the economies the globe over started showing a deceleration resulting out of the lockdowns of the countries and asking the people to stay home and stay safe. Thus, the business environment became passive, contributing to the essential requirement of people to remain alive. Though activities related to life and living cannot be separated, at least for several months, a separation was imposed on the environment affecting the business activism in several countries and societies. However, economies are opening up amidst the country's continued prevalence of the pandemic and the anticipated projection of the pandemic impacting for some more time. The short run of the business environment post-pandemic will be for about another 5 years, and therefore the issues will stay till 2025 as the prima facie expectations. This will show up a few trends in the future of the business environment requiring appropriating guarding. Such trends can be analyzed for insights for the few and new VUCA of the business environment. The methodology used here is the descriptive and analytical, and the findings and solutions are that the guarding efforts to rejuvenate the economy has to be designed in a way that they do not lead to any other ill-impacting syndrome. The business environment has no doubt invigorated, but through injecting carefully designed solutions that will have a positive impact for a long time post-pandemic. So the organization can bring economic and environmental priorities together if appropriate attention is paid to both. So thank you for listening and giving your valuable time. That is all about my presentation. Thank you, sir.
Professor Dr. Joshi.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Yes, Professor Dr. Joshi, are you listening to us? I think. Professor Dr. Joshi, are you listening to us? Yes, Miss Suman, please stay connected with us.
Okay, sir.
Professor Dr. Joshi has been disconnected due to the technical problem. It may be. So, Miss Suman, please stay connected with us. Yes, we have just contacted to him and he is rejoining with us. Professor Dr. Joshi.
Yeah, I'm present. And hello.
Yes,
Yeah, are you
yes.
able to listen to me? Yeah. Sorry for in
Audible.
between connectivity problem. I would, Suman, you already finished your presentation?
Yes,
Suman,
see, I
can
just
you just, can you just put on the conclusion slide again?
Conclusion, okay.
Yeah.
So my findings and conclusion were that the guarding efforts to rejuvenate the economy has to be designed in a way that they do not lead to any other ill-impacting syndrome. The business environment has no doubt invigorated, but through injecting carefully designed solutions that will have a positive impact for a long time post-pandemic. The organization can bring economic and environmental priorities together, and then if appropriate attention is paid to both.
Yeah. So the one of the topic is very good. You have chosen a challenging topic, and especially during pandemic time. But what I suggest is you start with objectives. In any research paper, we should start with objectives. Okay, and then in conclusion, we should address those. So what conclusion you were reading, they are just from the textbook. Okay, and also this which whether you have concentrated on the state, Jharkhand state, for this business environment, or the government of India measures. So that has also been not mentioned in the title of the paper.
Yes, sir.
So this was for
Hello.
pertaining to, yeah, this is pertaining to only one state or the whole of the country?
Sir, the methodology is descriptive, and the analysis of secondary publication, I have already mentioned it in the reference list.
Okay. So where are the objectives written?
Hello.
Objectives of the paper, they are not to be found. Objectives of the paper. Are you able to listen?
Sir, I cannot hear you.
I am asking objectives of the research paper, they are not mentioned.
Sir, your voice is breaking actually.
okay. Miss Suman, are you listening to us? Are we
Yes,
audible
sir.
to you?
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, I'm telling that objectives of the research paper are not mentioned. Objectives of the research paper are not specifically mentioned.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so therefore, in any research paper, we should have objectives, limited objectives. This is good. A good background study you've done. Okay, but if you have objectives, then you can focus on those objectives when you are writing conclusions.
Yeah, right, sir.
Okay,
right, sir.
so
yes, sir. Okay.
I think this is a good initial effort on your part. So you continue to probe further. It will develop into a good result. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, we can move to the next presentation.
Okay, Dr. Joshi.
Yes. Can we move to the next presentation?
Moving to the next presenter. I would like. Yes, next presenter is Mr. Sandeep Paudel. Mr. Sandeep Paudel, Assistant Professor, Lumbini Badija Campus. Professor Dr. Joshi, am I audible to you? Dr. Joshi? Okay, there is some technical problem over there. Okay, Mr. Sandeep Paudel, are you ready to present your presentation? Sandeep Paudel, Mr. Sandeep Paudel. Okay, I would like to request Mr. Sushil Rana, MBA Scholar, Lumini Badija campus, to be ready for the presentation. Mr. Sushil Rana. Mr. Rana, are you here?
Yes, sir, I'm ready.
Okay, Sushil, please be ready for the presentation. Our session chair, Professor Dr. UBSC Joshi, has been disconnected with us, and he is going to be connected again with us. Please wait for him for some time. Mr. Sushil Rana, are you ready?
Yes, sir, I'm ready.
Okay, very good. Please wait for a while because the session chair, Professor Dr. UBSC Joshi, has been disconnected and he is rejoining us.
Okay, sir. We are waiting, sir. Continue.
Okay, Mr. Rana, please start your presentation.
Respected chairperson of the session, dignitaries, professors, and my dear friends. My name is Sushil Rana, and I'm currently pursuing my master's in business administration at Lumini Badija campus. The topic of my presentation is the relationship between government expenditure and economic growth in the context of Nepal. So I'm going to begin this presentation by giving a background about this study. So according to Sharma 2012, in Nepal, currently, the government expenditure is continuously increasing because of receipts for tax revenue, foreign aid, and due to the demand in the increase of public services like health, education, transportation, communication, and so forth. So the data also clearly shows that there has been a significant increase in recurrent and capital expenditure over the period of 10-20 years between 2000 and 2019, as shown in the slide. There are three schools of thought regarding the relationship between these two variables, Wagner's law, Keynesian view, and neoclassical growth model. According to Wagner's law, the increase in government expenditure is the result of economic growth, whereas Keynesian view contends that the economic growth is because of the increase in government public expenditure. On the other hand, neoclassical growth model suggests that the government fiscal policy does not have any relation on the economic growth or the growth of the national output of the country. So I'm going to deal with two problem statements in this study, whether recurrent and capital expenditure lead to economic growth, and is there any presence of long run and short run relationship between these two variables. So from the theoretical and empirical review of the literature, I have formulated the following research framework as shown in the slide that shows the relationship between independent and dependent variables. The independent variables used are recurrent expenditure and capital expenditure, whereas economic growth or GDP is used as the dependent variable. Regarding methodology, I have used annual time series data ranging from mid-July 1975 to 2019 due to the unavailability of quarterly data. EVIS9 software is used for the analysis, and to conduct unit root tests, I have used augmented Dickey-Fuller and Phillips-Perron test. And finally, to identify or to verify the presence of long-run and short-run relationships in my model, in my study, I have used ARDL model. The equation 4 shown in the slide shows the ARDL model, whereas the equation 5 and 6 represent the long-run and short-run equation. After conducting the unit root test, we can clearly see that all the variables, all three variables are non-stationary at level, but are stationary at cost difference, both in the case of ADF test as well as PP test for intercept and also for trend and intercept. So this clearly states that the three variables are integrated of order I1 and none of them are I2, which is compulsory before applying the ARDL model. After the ARDL bounds test, we can clearly see that the value of F statistic is 7.5140, which is higher than the lower bound I0 and upper bound I1 at 1% significance level. This means that there is the presence of co-integration in our model. So after conducting the long run and short run test, we have come with similar kind of results. The coefficients of recurrent expenditure and capital expenditure are positive and significant at 1% and 5% level respectively, both in the case of long run as well as short run. The lagged value of error correction term is also negative and significant at 1% level as per the expectation of this study. Its coefficient is minus 0.49, which implies that any deviations in the short run toward the long run equilibrium are corrected by 49.07% each year. So we also conducted a diagnostic test to test the stability of the model. The graph of the Kusum and Kusumov squares lie within the critical bounds at 5% level of significance. So this means that the parameters of the ARDL model are stable. Finally, coming to the conclusion, from the results that we obtained in this study, we can say that there is a strong causal relationship between government public spending and economic growth. So there is, this study also concludes that the government expenditure has a positive effect on the output growth of Nepal, both in the short run as well as long run. So this study recommends that government public spending should be directed more towards infrastructural and industrial development so that economic growth in the country can be promoted. In the same way, future research can also be conducted on sector-wise government spending, such as the effect of government spending on health, literacy level, poverty alleviation, industrial development, and so forth. So this brings to the end of my presentation. Thank you for giving your time and attention. Thank you.
Yes, excellent use of your research tools and statistical tests. Are you able to listen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are you able to listen to me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. You are audible, sir.
So now, having done this, you have taken good enough number of years for the analysis. Is it fine? Is it yes or no?
Yes, sir. I have taken 44 years of data.
So now what you can do is, if you segregate the investment of the government or government expenditure in different sectors of the economy.
Yes, sir.
Then you will find out what is the of the sector. Also, you can do an analysis in the form of the, say for example, we always say that the capital expenditure should be more if you have to increase the GDP growth rate economic theory wise. So
Yes,
those
sir.
aspects, if you study and identify which areas of investment or which heads of investment are more efficient and can generate faster growth of GDP in Nepal, then it will be naturally extension of the existing research. Congratulations for doing it sincerely, and you can keep improving. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So we can move to the next presenter.
Okay, thank you, Siran. The next presenter is Mr. Sandeep Paudel, Assistant Professor, Lumini Badija Campus, on the topic the relationship among the inflation, broad money, and economic growth evidence from Nepal. Mr. Paudel, are you over here?
Hello. Hello.
Mr. Paudel, are you listening to us?
Yes, sir. Is my sound audible, sir?
Yeah,
Yes,
are
yes,
you
it is
audible?
audible. Please continue.
You are audible, yes.
Should I share my screen, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, please.
Okay. Is sound sorry? Is slide visible, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, you are visible, yes. You are also visible, your slides are also visible.
Okay.
Okay,
A very good afternoon, respected session chief,
Mr.
distinguished
Lasmo,
guests,
I'm extremely sorry
dist-
that I mistaken the name. Mr. Lasmor Tondon is going to present the presentation on the topic, the relationship among the inflation, broad money and economic growth evidence from Nepal. Please proceed your presentation.
Okay. A very good afternoon, sir. Thank you, Naram, sir. Respected session chair, sir, distinguished guests, and dear all participants. Myself, Lakshman Tandon, and now I'm from Butwal Oxford College, and I'm pursuing MPhil from Kathmandu University. Now my research topic is relationship among the inflation, board money, and economic growth. That evidence from Nepal. Okay, background of the study. Nowadays, there is a apex monetary authority, central bank is more concerned about the inflation because the realization of that inflation is costly and business and other household sector, they have performed very poor. So when the business sector and household sector they perform very poorly, it has impact over the GDP. So this all about the background of the study. Now statement of the problem. Some scholars point out that the postulation of monetary neutrality is the reason behind the real treatment of most of the growth models which overshadowed the monetary aspect of it. Then when it comes to the developing nations like Nepal, the economic growth dominates the scholarly debate. So this is about problem statement. Now research question. So is there significant association among economic growth, inflation, and board money? That is the research question for this study and objectives of the study. In this paper, the major objectives of this study is to examine whether there exists long-term relationship among the independent variable, that is inflation, board money, and dependent variables is economic growth. So this is the research framework, theoretical framework. But I'm sorry, I did not include it mistakenly. I did not include the sources of this model, this framework. Now, inflation and board money, these are the two explanatory variable of this study, and economic growth is the explained variable or dependent variable. Now, methodology. In this study, I have included 45 observations. That means that from the 2031-32 fiscal years to 2074-75 fiscal years. So that is in BS, not in AD. So almost 45 observations I have included in this study. And sources. The sources is economic survey. While studying this paper, I have included the following models. First, unit root test for testing the stationarity, co-integration test, BECM model, and residual diagnosis. Okay, as we know that before using input for finding out output, that means for result, we used to seek the stationarity. So I use the unit root test where independent variable independent variable GDP found stationarity at level 1 and inflation at level 0, at level, and board money at level 1. When stationarity is found at level and level first, then we move to the Johnson configuration test in order to identify whether there is a long-term association or not. Then this is findings of Johnson co-integration test where none, that means there is no co-integration, which is rejected, that means there is no any, sorry, there is no hypothesis is rejected, that means, and at most one and at most two, we can find the co-integration. If we find the co-integration, then we apply the BECM model. Then this is the BECM model which I used in this paper, and all these regression equation of independent variables like GDP, inflation, and board money. So overall model result can be seen here, a regression result. So items, that means co-integration 1, coefficient, that is the beta coefficient, standard error, t statistic, and finally p-value. Thus you can see here p-value 0.023, that means which is less than 5%, which is accepted. And then you can see 0 minus 0.05. There is inverse relationship between the independent variables and dependent variables, which is the beta coefficient. And another is r square 0.51. That means both independent variable, inflation and board money jointly affect to the 51.83% to the dependent variable GDP. So another is F statistics, which has the 0.0006 probability, that indicates the overall model is fit, overall model is accepted, because which is also lower than 0.05%, 0.05, and DW test, which is greater than 1.8. Next, okay, after finding the regression result, now move to the residual diagnosis. So when I use this regression model for testing the residual diagnosis, then I found this kind of result, which is all these variables. That means correlation, heteroscedasticity, autocorrelation, heteroscedasticity, and normality. I found more than 5%. That means all these variables are free from violence of ordinary least square. So which is a best regression model, which we can say the model is best regression. So it is free from spurious regression. And conclusion, the main result of this paper confirms that there is a relationship between the inflation, board money, and a long-term relation between among the inflation, board money, and economic growth. So this is the final conclusion. And next, further research on the basis of this paper, we can continue further another research like economic growth and money supply, and another is economic growth and shadow economy. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah, good presentation again. Yeah, what is your name? Model.
Sir, I am Lakshman Tandon.
Lakshman, yeah, good presentation. You have used analytical tools again to the fullest possible extent. The econometrics, etc. you use, but why you are happy with R square being only 0.51? Okay, so therefore what I am suggesting is you should incorporate some more. Now you had mentioned this. How much now? 50% coefficient of correlation. So this should be this. It is a economic theory that inflation, high inflation means you have to reduce the money supply. Okay, it is established relationship. So if you incorporate some other factors also, savings, investment, which are important determinant of economic growth and GDP. Okay, and so overall is a good use of statistical tools, but your R square should be as high as possible, as we all know in economic analysis. So therefore, and so for example, Harrod-Domer model or some Malanomis model, etc. you can use for this relationship. But what about the fiscal policy variables? So inflation and broad money is great, but how the other factors are influencing the growth which you are stating. So those also need to be explained. Otherwise, a good effort on your part and good use of research methodology and research tools. Thank you very much. So please continue to improve. It is great to see that such tools are being used in during your seminar presentations. But one more thing I noticed is that your length of research paper is not sufficient, which you have submitted or which I have received from the organizers. Okay, I think you have not incorporated all the tools and the analytical part and explanation of those in your research paper which you submitted for the seminar. But it is a good effort. Congratulations to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Yes, the next presentation?
Okay, so our next and the last presenter of the technical session 3 under economics and statistics is Mr. Chet Narayan Acharya, Director, Academy of Innovation for Economic Development, Nepal. Mr. Acharya, are you over here? Mr. Acharya, am I audible to you? Chet Narayan Acharya, Mr. Chet Narayan Acharya, Director, Academy of Innovation for Economic Development, Nepal. He is going to present his paper on the topic COVID-19 pandemic lockdown and its impact on socio-economic life of private sector and self-employed job holders in Kathmandu. Mr. Chetna Acharya, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm hearing you. And am I audible there?
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir. And please share your the video as well as slides.
Okay, sir.
Okay, please. Yes, you are visible to us. Please share your slides. Yeah. Okay.
Is my screen visible there?
Yeah, visible, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Good afternoon, respected chair of the session, Professor Dr. Joshi, and other distinguished dignitaries and participants of this webinar, international webinar. I'm Chet Narayan Acharya. I'm working as a director and research fellow at Academy of Innovations for Economic Development of Nepal. And then today I'm presenting my paper on the title COVID-19 and pandemic lockdown and its impact on socio-economic life of self-employed business and private sector job holders in Kathmandu. My presentation proceeds with this presentation outline, background, problem statement, and conceptual framework, research method, and conclusion, and result and conclusion. Coronavirus disease, which has appeared first time, which has appeared in Hunan Province, China in December 2019, and then it has spread all over the world and become a pandemic. On 30th January 2020, WHO has declared the first outbreak, novel coronavirus, as a public health emergency at global concern. To respond this, different governments, they have implemented different type of strategies. And similarly, government of Nepal has implemented mandatory and preventive strategies such as 2-phase lockdowns, encouraging people to implement social distancing, self-isolation, travel restrictions, and reduce physically and close interaction between the people. Yes, the health issue is one side, it is big issue, but it is on the other side, it has big issues on socio-economic life. This means lockdown has affected the people's socio-economic life very badly. This is very dark side of the other impact than the health issue of this COVID-19. Schools, college, businesses, employment and income, everything have gone upside. And aggregate level, aggregate demand in the economy has fallen. And people are getting afraid to be close, it means it is social side. And then people, they have stopped their visit and interaction are limited with virtual connection. Therefore, this has creating socio-economic shocks and domestic and international level and exposing structural inequalities in the societies. It has also faced the fear of global economic crisis and recession. The COVID-19 pandemic has appeared as a new health challenge and threat for the human health in 21st century. And it is not only the health issue, but also the serious crisis in socio-economic life at the global scale. Impact may vary country to country, and then it is strong and increasing economic inequalities and poverty around the globe. A big obstacle and
Please come to the objectives of your research.
Yes, okay, I'm coming, I'm proceeding.
So that you can spend more time on your research and conclusions. Okay,
okay,
please.
Sir. And this is my statement. Based on my statement, this is my conceptual framework. And here, COVID-19 pandemic lockdown, and this is one factor, and its impact on income and employment of the people, business of the people, domestic violence and conflict. It is social aspect, and then social family behavior in terms of day-to-day purchase, goods and service purchase, and then supply side, and then mental states of the people involving in self-employed business and then private sector job. And research method, and it is the opinion survey. We are not in the position that in the conclusion by using data, because the impact is still going on. So it is descriptive analysis. The paper aims at finding the impact of socio-economic impact of this COVID-19 on socio-economic life of the people by using opinion survey method. So this is the objective, just to analyze the impact on socio-economic life of private sector business and then private sector jobs. Method, this research is based on, I have already told you that this method is based on opinion survey. So in order to meet the objective, all the prospective respondents were divided into formal sector and informal sector. And then structured questionnaire has been prepared and then distributed among the respondents through the virtual, it means Google Docs. And then in some of the informal sector, I have made physically and conducted the interview session. Similarly, a focus group discussion session and then opinion pool with experts also conducted. Let's come. In order to maintain the validity and reliability of the study, pilot testing among 25 respondents has been conducted, and then truthfulness of the study has been ensured. And then in this study, altogether 483 prospective respondents were interviewed through virtual session, Google Docs, and a physical interview, face-to-face interview. And secondary source of information also collected, reports from World Health Organization, Ministry of Health, and then other daily newspapers, online portals also used as a secondary source of information. And then while talking about the result, and then first question was, what is your important source of information about the COVID-19? And most of the respondents, they have opined that social media, Facebook, Twitter, Vibers, these are the most important source of information for them. And radio, television, online news, these are also stood as the important source of information for them. And then if the question was on impact of employment and income, and then impact, about the impact, many of the respondents, they have opined that they have lost their current business and then work. And loss, it means effect on the current employment found is loss of business and no works, salary cut, layoff, leave without pay, forced resignation. These type of effects are found on private sector job holders. And about their salary gap, more than 26% respondent, they have not receiving their salary since 5 months. It means this is the most dark side of this COVID-19 and its impact on the socio-economic life, because the low paid workers, informal sector working workers, they are not receiving their salary since 6 months.
Yeah, please come to the conclusions. Please come
Okay,
to the
I'm coming, sir. I'm coming, sir. And then expenditure management. And expenditure management, most of the respondents, they have opined expenditure, their day-to-day expenditure managed from past saving and then borrowing. And then other problems, like biggest problem in family problem, that means some of they have said the problem in daily purchasing in daily necessities, and then some of they have said.
Please come to the conclusions. Please come to the conclusions.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, this is my conclusion. This is a threat of all economies around the globe, and it is the alert for new economic recession. An immediate relief package needed to be borrowed and implemented for all victims. Medium-term and longer-term economic planning, including sector-by-sector plan with strong commitment, is needed to rebalance and re-energize the economy, demanding a strong and visionary leadership in healthcare, business, education, and government sector. This is the finding or conclusion of this study. Thank you so much.
Yes, good topic you have done during the pandemic times. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Now, I would have been happy if, because you are in a very institute of very great repute. So if you can move forward from conclusions to implications. So what needs to be done by the government, okay, and how policy formulation can be effective based on the research which you have done and based on the findings of your study. Okay, that
Yes, sir.
is what I would like to. I would have been happy, or it is known to you, but you have not continued your paper since then. After finding the conclusion, it is okay. Don't write globe because you have only studied Nepal. Okay, so it is not globe in the last slide. Okay, your study is focusing on Nepal or even Kathmandu.
Yes, sir.
So
yes.
you're talking of the employees in Kathmandu, but if the government has to take some corrective measures to help those people to, you can say, they manage this COVID pandemic in a more appropriate manner, then what is required to be done by the government? That is where you should finish your research. So therefore policy implication also can be incorporated, and then it can be sent to the government and also to the for publications in a good journal. So wonderful to see all the, including yours, all the presentations were excellent, and I'm happy with
you, sir.
all the presenters. In fact, it is a great learning for me also, listening to all of you. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Professor Dr. Joshi, we have
Hello.
come to the technical session 3 under the economics and statistics.
So I thank organizers for giving me this opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Dr. Yogesh Joshi, for your invaluable time, providing us your invaluable time and putting your insightful remarks in front of the participants.
Wonderful to remain present with all my friends in Nepal.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. So if you,
okay,
if
now
you allow me permission to leave, then.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you very
so,
much.
Congratulations to all of you for a great seminar, and for the coming presenters also. I wish them all the best.
Okay, thank you, sir. We are
I
very
wish
much.
that all of you visit India and our university as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, now we are entering the technical session 4 under the track of sociology, psychology, and education. Altogether, there are 10 papers, research papers will be presented under this technical session. First of all, I would like to request Professor Dr. Manoprasad Wagle, former Dean, Faculty of Education, Kathmandu University, Nepal, to chair this technical session 4 under the track of Sociology, Psychology, and Education.
Thank you very much, sir. I am here.
Okay, you are most welcome.
Now, should I start the session?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There were 9 papers before, but 1 paper is added. So there are 10 papers now. Each participant will get 7 minutes to present, and I will comment in each paper not more than 3 minutes, and I will have a stopwatch here, so I will not allow you to go more than 7 minutes. So be careful. So while presenting, each of you be concerned about the methodology and the findings more than the introduction and other tidbits in your presentation, so that you can cover your presentation in time. Now I would like to read the names of the presenters for your preparedness. The first, I will go it in order. Miss Naomi Diagnotas from Joshi Rizal Memorial State University, and Mr. Lakshman Prasad Bhandari, they will be presenting 1 paper. Mr. Bhimlal Bhandari, TU, will be presenting 1 paper. Arun Kumar Chetri, Tribhuvan University. Votaraj Khanal, MPhil Scholar, Kathmandu University, and lecturer Kapil Bastu, multiple campus. Lakshman Bhandari will be presenting 1 individual paper himself. And Madhukar Sharma will be presenting, he is also from Lumbini Banija campus. Romnath Sharma, assistant professor, Lumbini Banija campus and MPhil scholar, is going to present 1 paper. Miss Kamala Keshi from Butwal multiple campus, she will be presenting 1 paper. And Miss Manda Poharel, MPhil scholar, Kathmandu University. Plus, I got 1 request privately message in this chat box from Rameshwar Jyoti lecturer. He has prepared 1 paper, and he will also present the paper. So first of all, let me know who is going to present the first paper, exploring Sewanong Binisaya, a description of the dialect status in Dapitan City, Zamboanga, Del Norte, the Philippines. Who is going to present, Miss Naomi or Mr. Lakshman Prasad Bhandari?
Okay, Miss Naomi will present the paper.
Okay, Miss Naomi, are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Now you can start your presentation, and you will be given 7 minutes exactly for your presentation.
Okay, so the utilization of the language is a measure to avoid extinction, death, and dying of culture and identity. Just like any other languages, Cebuano Binisaya's case is never an excuse. It should flourish for the next generation. My respect to the dignitaries present to this prestigious forum. It is but a great pleasure to take part in this conference, which is conducted at the middle of the pandemic threat. The learning of the local speech should be given so much attention for cultural building and to promote nationalism, besides focusing on the ease of confusion and encourage understanding among the young generations. Hence, an investigation exploring Cebuano Binisaya, a description of the dialect status in the Dapitan City, Zamboanga del Norte, the Philippines, was conducted by yours truly, Naomi Diagnotas of Jose Rizal Memorial State University, Philippines, with Professor Lakshman Prasad Bhandari of Lumbini Banija Campus, Nepal. Every educational system prepares to clientele for the world outside their localities, which is why Filipinos find it really very easy to adopt the linguistic norms once they are there. At the center of the educational system today is the integration of the mother tongue-based multilingual education known as MTB-MLA in the Philippine curriculum. It aims to strengthen communicative competence for lifelong learning. That is why it is put forward for second language and cognitive development. The study was conducted to explore and analyze the reasons for language use and review how the language operates as a vernacular in the Filipino community context. Through mixed methods research, where quantitative data were collected through online survey and qualitative information was elicited through interview. To enumerate, participants who were on vacation were communicated online to check their availability. And then, upon getting their approval, instructions were sent. After getting their readiness, the questionnaire was sent via group chat in Messenger. Participants were instructed to send their responses via private message. 20 participants were reached out through one-to-one interview via Messenger. This were done religiously to reveal the following results. So what are the terminologies the respondents failed to use appropriately? The term putli, pure in English, was used more appropriately by the majority than the term mapahiubsanon, humble in English. Respondents failed to use most of the terms appropriately, and they barely used them because of the vernacular non-existence, alternation to unfamiliar terms, and practices of their surroundings. They injected English equivalents as linguistic aids to bridge the communication gap. A closer look of the table sends a message of rectification and a quick reinforcement of the Cebuano Binisaya and working placidly on the introduction of the native tongue in the classroom during instruction. So what does this imply in terms of the Cebuano Binisaya operation? The language was used while they were still acquiring the first language, and they established the same language in their consciousness. So which calls for educating the younger generation in their home language to do better in the later years of education, to become responsible producers and consumers of knowledge. As regards to the verb alsa, which means lifting or carrying, it has several equivalents. Actually, in the Cebuano Binisaya, depending on the situation and concept of lifting or carrying, like bala, sungay, lukdo, kugos, sapwang, biking, sinangay, kabiba, sipit, or sagakay. Now, what does this imply to the Cebuano Binisaya language usage? Participants were confused of the appropriate term to use in certain situations because they do not know the term at all, besides using them very seldom, which narrows down to the deduction that the term is no longer existent in the vernacular. Seemingly, participants did not reveal to be using the term kabiba at all, while the term sagakay sounded strange to them. They actually no longer use the terms because they are not engaged in the activity anymore because of the geographical area. Students from the urban setting are less familiar with the lexical items, and surprisingly, substitution is actually present. And the creation of another member of the family synonymous to the term is apparent, which means language is flourishing and it accommodates varieties of its kind. So how does the adverb asa, English in Cebuanong Binisaya, operate in Filipino interaction? The participants do not know how to use the adverbs asa, hain, and diin, which should not be disregarded. Hence, awareness of the correct usage of the three should be established. Despite the less strict implementation of MTB-MLE, which is attributed to a less strong foundation of the native teachers who are less oriented with the vernacular, it is rewarding indeed that the evolution of terms tend to enrich Cebuano Binisaya. It is concluded, therefore, that the progressing linguistic environment and biological linkage caused the poor acquisition of Cebuano Binisaya. So tolerance to settle to a simplistic version is attributed to the indifference of people and resistance to education on the proper use of Cebuano Binisaya. The carelessness and effortless applications of words among generations may lead to discrimination of context reference of the Pitan as a historical city of the South, and hence the study recommends studying Cebuano Binisaya carefully and explaining thoroughly to the younger generation as they continually seek education. And strong efforts may be done to come up with a policy of intellectualization of Cebuano Binisaya. By using not only as, or by using it, the Cebuano Binisaya, not only as an oral expression, but in written forms accessible by the generations to come. Perhaps crafting jokes, monograph, or relative instructional materials for use in the teaching of MTB MLE may be considered. There should be participation of expert writers who should be very careful and over time watchful to protect the language and avoid the spread of grammatical inconsistencies. This should be done to help in the intellectualization of the language, Cebuano Binisaya, and to not defeat the truest intent because of imprecision. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. You exactly finished your presentation in 7 minutes, and I'm happy for that. Congratulations to Naomi and Mr. Lakshman Bhandari, who jointly prepared this paper. And this is a very important research paper that you have done. So let me tell something about your talk something about your paper. You have explored something, the kind of terminology which are user friendly. If the terminology is user friendly, then the children can catch it. If it is not user friendly, it is inappropriate for them, and they cannot do anything or they cannot make any meaning out of that. Thank you very much for that. So you have given a very clear message to the parents, to the teachers, and to the academia that they use appropriate language at home, at school, and in children's surrounding. Another important thing that you have given here is that inappropriate language use is dominated by the practice of the surroundings, right? Your paper tells that. So we have to be very careful while using terminologies which are not palatable to the age of the children. Thank you very much for that. And you have clearly mentioned what children hear, so they speak. So that we have to make them listen the appropriate and true, you see, the terminologies, the words, right? Basically, you see, you have also talked about the the dialects, right? It is different from the national language. So the dialects also should carry the meaning that you have mentioned here. For example, you have given Nagburi and Nagluib. There are two examples. There are so many such examples, but I picked that, right? This makes clear that while selecting the word, it must be meaningful to the context. So, right? So context. Now, I have one comment in your paper. You have done mixed method research. Mixed method research is more than the combination of quantitative and qualitative. You have done justice to the qualitative one because you have interviewed 20 participants there, right? But in your quantitative part, you have just said those who were in vacation or something like that, but you have not given the number of you see the participants in quantitative research. How many were there in your quantitative research? How many participants were there?
There are actually 52 students, sir, but actually only 30 plus or 35 students did turn over their work, their answers during the conduct of the questionnaire survey.
Okay, so this piece of research cannot be considered as mixed method research unless you justify the population and those 30-35 can represent the kind of population or the sampling frame that you can make. So this is simply a kind of you see qualitative research supported by some quantifications with 30-35 people. So this is purely a qualitative research. It is not a mixed method research. You can always support the quantitative information to promote the qualitative research, or you can do quantitative research by supporting qualitative information. In order to do justice for mixed method research, you have to be very careful in selecting the quantitative the samples in the quantitative research, which has not been done in this paper. Otherwise, the paper is fine. Thank you very much, Ms. Naomi and Mr. Lakshman Prasad Bhandari. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Indeed, this is a privilege to be with you, this important part of my life, actually.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now I will go for the next presenter, Mr. Bhimlal Bhandari. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Bhimlal Bhandari is the reader in the Department of English Education, Tribhuvan University. He is going to present English teachers' perspectives of post-method pedagogy. So the same thing applies to you. 7 minutes. Start your presentation.
Okay, is it visible, sir?
Yes, yes, you can start.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. All the participants and then experts from home and abroad. Okay, my presentation outline is like this. An introduction. Okay, post-method pedagogy was proposed by Kumara Vedivalu in 1994 with the aim of breaking the cycle of method, and it came as a reaction to method era. For the search of most effective way of teaching second or foreign language, and then it accepts multiple truth, realities, and designs based alternative way from choices on the basis of their experience, learners' needs and interest, knowledge, and local context. Okay, the purpose of this paper is to explore English teachers' perspectives of post-method pedagogy. And the research question has addressed how do the English teachers perceive post-method pedagogy. Okay, the history of ELT. First, in the beginning, this ancient period between the 14th and late 19th century is regarded as pre-method era, and then later on, method started from this grammar task method, and particularly from direct method, and then from direct method to audiolingual method, communicative language teaching, and then there were so many communicative language teaching, and then later on, the concept of post-method pedagogy came in practice. Okay, let's review this. Parvu 1990 state teaching method could be changed according to the context, so there is no single best method for teaching languages everywhere for everyone. Likewise, Bell 2007 states that there are a significant number of teachers who have been advocating in favor of methods is remarkable and useful aspects in teachers' perception on post-method pedagogy. And then
you better to skip your literature review.
Okay, sir. Okay. Okay. Under this under post-method pedagogy, there are 3 parameters: pedagogy of particularity, pedagogy of practicality, and pedagogy of possibility. And then the first one focuses on context-sensitive socio-cultural and political features of language teaching, and then it emphasizes the aspect of local context. And second one focuses on teachers' reflection and action research based on their insights and intuition. And similarly, third one encourages learners to raise their socio-political consciousness and reflect on their existing condition. Methodology, I have used qualitative, small-scale qualitative study, and then I selected only 2 participants, 2 English teachers, purposely from 2 community schools of Rupandai, and then I use in-depth interview as a technique, and then I also, I particularly use narrative inquiry as a research method to explore the lived experience of the participants through their narratives and lived stories. And then I translated and the recorded information categorized in different themes and interpreted and analyzed them on the, I discuss under these 3 headings. The first one is English teachers' perspectives of post-method pedagogy. And then methods could not address the needs, interests, and demands of all learners. So participant second said, I find no change in quality with the change in methods, as they do not consider practical utility and local concern of the learners. So his narrative supported the methods do not consider practical efficacy and local concern of learners. Likewise, participant 2 added, methods cannot address appropriate context, need, and interest of learners. They are prescribed without considering any specific context of teachers and students and their locality. But post-method pedagogy allows us to adopt any methods that suit to our EFL context and resources. So post-method pedagogy, this shows that post-method pedagogy allows teachers and learners to adopt any methods that suit to their context. And in the same way, another topic is methods fail addressing learners' need. So prescribed methods do not address learners' differences and their need. And regarding this, participant one said, the methods designed for teaching native learners are unsuitable in our context. His perspective towards method is negative, as methods suitable to native learners are not suitable to non-native learners. And then his view is justified by Kumara Vedivelu 2006. Methods have little theoretical validity and even less practical utility. So this shows the utility of post-method pedagogy to meet the need and interest, need and demands of learners. So teachers show positive perspectives towards post-method pedagogy. And then the last one is teachers as the authority of class. So it focuses on autonomy, reflecting action research for development of context-sensitive pedagogic knowledge. And then regarding this, participant second said, I know the context of my classroom better than methodologists. His narrative focused teachers are more familiar with classroom context than methodologists. To bring quality change in ELT, teachers need to be assigned full responsibility as they know classroom problems, cultures, context, and dynamics better than the methodologists do. So post-method pedagogy puts teachers at the center of language learning and teaching and values their beliefs, experience, and knowledge. So this is supported by Kumara Vedivelu 2006. He states that teachers' autonomy is the core of post-method pedagogy. Okay, conclusion. The study reveals that school English teachers have positive perspectives towards post-method pedagogy, which promotes teacher autonomy and quality in English language teaching. Teachers can construct context and culture-sensitive pedagogies to suit their learners rather than being imposed by any methodological practices. The shift from a methodology-based instructional practice to post-method era keeps teachers and learners in the center of construction of knowledge. Finally, no method is unique. The studies show that no method is unique, original, and universal, and the best to all the learners at all times. As you know, one size does not fit to everyone. So good teachers use eclectic method that fits into their classrooms. So finally, the study reveals that teachers should be context sensitive, reflective, and free from cultural imperialism for teaching efficacy. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I completed my...
Yeah, you exactly finished in 7 minutes. Congratulations, Bhimji. And your topic was very interesting. You talked about the post-method pedagogy, which is equally important in other teaching as well, not only in English teaching, English language teaching. So you brought this, sorry, in focus. So you, from your paper presentation, what I understood is that post-method pedagogy help teacher construct their own methods of teaching, right? So which are contextual and culture sensitive. That's one part that I got from your paper. It's simply breaking the tradition of following somebody's method to teach some topic or something like that. But post-method pedagogy provides the autonomy to the teachers to design, to innovate, to use their own methods as the context and the culture demands. So this is a very, very good information that you have provided. Your one research question is enough for this kind of small piece of qualitative research, and your two participants, fine, very fine. I accept that too, right? You have beautifully used the narrative research in this piece, right? Indicating multiple perspectives of teachers in teaching EFL as method. So that one part is very good part. And you have mentioned the 4 different types of pedagogy: particularity, practicality, and possibility, right? So this one you have explored very well, and I congratulate you for that. One comment in your paper that I would like to provide. As you are using narrative inquiry, your descriptions are very good, indicating some narratives of the participants. However, in narrative research, you can always draw the story of each of them. You have 2 participants. You can have 2 beautiful stories in order to give justice to your research here. And that research would contribute much in the days to come, I guess. So 2 different possibilities. Or you can draw any similar pattern out of the two EFL teachers, or there are different patterns that they are following regarding the post-method pedagogy, right? So those kind of things, if explained, if added in your you see the findings analysis, then it would be much better. But you see, saying this, I am not telling you that your research is not good. Your research is very excellent, right? Marvelous. You have beautifully done it. And congratulations. Many congratulations to you, Bhimji.
Thank you, sir, for your constructive feedback. Thank you so much.
Okay. Now I will move to the next presenter, Dr. Arun Kumar Chetri, lecturer, Tribhuvan University, who is going to present on Are We Aware of Gender Issues? BBS English from Feminist Perspective. Arunji, are you there?
Yes, sir. Namaste,
okay,
sir.
Please. Okay. Now you can start your presentation. 7 minutes.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Respected chairperson of the program, Campus Chief Professor Dr. Tara Prasad Upadhyay, sir. Professor Dr. Ishwar Gautam, sir, Vice Chair of the Planning Commission. My respected Guru, Professor Dr. Mano Wagli, sir. I'm very happy to present in front of all of you here. So my presentation here is are we aware of gender issues? An analysis of BBS English from feminist perspective. I here basically wanted to see the business English first, MGT 201 for BBS first year, which has 100 full marks and 35 pass marks. We study the course contents. Basically, it has grammar and mechanics related topics for 15% of the marks. Business language and business related vocabulary 10%, and business writing, business reading, and business, especially reading and writing part related to business, it has 75%. That's why the course is very heavy in terms of reading, writing, and business reading and writing perspectives. So the textbooks, basic textbooks prescribed for this is that patterns for college writing by a rhetoric, reader, and guide, Laurie, Kissinger, and business studies, English for business studies. These are the two basic courses prescribed. And my point here, my focus here in this paper is not whole course, but basically reading texts that are prescribed, that have been mentioned, that have been prescribed here for teaching and learning, for reading, writing especially. So the gender issues are really very much crucial and these are explored in many studies, socio-political, educational sectors, including ELT curricula, everywhere. These are very much crucial. And even English language curriculum also, nowadays people started, many academics started studying to what extent female issues have been raised. Textbooks, in fact, are very important, which provide both teachers, students, some knowledge related about their pivotal role in shaping of the students' behavior, students' ideology, and teachers' attitudes also towards the females. So these should be analyzed and explored, the potential impact, especially to explore the potential impact they may have upon the readers, upon the teachers and students. So this study especially was executed to explore the representation of the females in terms of their status, roles, activities in the BBS first year English textbook of Tribhuvan University, which was revised and implemented from this year. So it is basically based on the content analysis of the BBS first year English course. And I have done the analysis of the reading text from feministic perspective. So major objective of the paper was to just raise the gender awareness in the teachers, in the students, and course designers as well. Because in some matters, we are not much aware of gender issues. to see the course, to study, to what I found was that the course has only 12 texts to read and analyze. Only 12 texts. And 8 of these texts have been written by the female writers. Okay, only 4 texts were found to have been written by the male writers. So this shows that the course designers were very much conscious enough, including enough for inclusion of the female writers. Basically, to encourage it, I think it was to encourage the traditionally dominated female writers.
Now, sir, you go to your methodology.
Yes, it is a content analysis.
Okay, sure.
Yes, sir. So, the 12 texts in the course have different issues to describe. They have female issues, discrimination towards the female, environment and ecological, organ transplantation, color discrimination, indigenous knowledge inclusion also, and American life as an immigrant. Such varieties of kinds of issues there are raised in different texts. So the texts which are about the females and female issues and female discrimination seem to be in significant number. There are very nice texts. There are 6 texts, 50% of the texts which include females and female issues as the main theme. So from feministic perspective, the course seems to be really balanced, and course designers selected texts with much caution. The only daughter, like my mother never walked like, and in the same way, I want a wife beater, such varieties of kinds of stories included in this text, included in this course, they raise radical feminist issues. And these are extremely very important, practical in terms of what is happening in our society as well. So the texts written by the females, I found that the texts written by the females were mainly about the female issues, okay? Mainly about the female issues. 6 of the texts, 50% of the total texts were on female issues, purely on female issues. What females, how they have to suffer, okay, as a only daughter in 6 children, with 6 brothers, only sister, how I feel, like this essays are there, and my mother never worked, how women's works are not counted as working. Such radical issues in Nepal also we often...
Sir, your time is off. Go to the conclusion.
Oh, sorry. And then there are texts about environment also written by the females, and knowledge of preparing pulao, like indigenous knowledge also included. But none of the male writers have written anything about the females and female issues. So color discrimination, organ transplantation, junk food and other against these things in the schools, all these things are also there. And thus the texts in this course, have been selected very carefully, keeping the half of the population in the mind.
Sir, you go to the conclusion, sir. I cannot give you more time.
This is my conclusion, sir. The texts they have been selected for this course have been selected very much carefully, keeping the half of the population in the mind. And the course is expected to have positive impression on the readers and teachers about respecting the females. There needs to be more detailed research in and around this area, feministic area, female issues, feministic perspective also. Many other English courses have to be studied because it is very important to keep the females in balance, female issues in balance. The course introduces the various kinds of social issues to the future managers and business persons, which will help them successfully adjust in the civilized society.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. You have presented the gender issues in textbook writing, or the contents that that is you see that addresses females female or not. I could not get your full paper from the organizers, so I only went through your abstracts, but now you presented your paper here. You see, you were talking much about the kind of books that are written for the BBS, right? BBS
Yes,
first,
yes.
first
Yes,
year
sir.
English.
Revised course. This has been revised course, and how
Yeah, English,
incorporated
right?
female issues
Yeah,
I wanted to see.
I understood. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Now you see, your major question is: are we aware of gender issues? Talking about gender issues, and you see, relating it to the content analysis that you are talking about, right?
Yes. Yes.
Textbooks are the representation of factual. You see the information. However,
Yes.
it helps shaping the behavior and ideology of the students. You agree on that,
Yes.
right? So
Yes, yes.
that should come in your paper. And basically, whatever we write today, you briefly presented. There should be we should be aware of the potential impact that they make on the students. That's very good. You see, in our context, the past research in the same kind of topic that you have presented today, they say that females are portrayed in the relegated position. They are presented as weak, right? They do not talk about gender equality. So I would like to suggest you to add something in your paper, whether you are talking gender as an ideology.
In literature review part, I would include.
Yes,
I have.
okay, yeah.
Sir,
So you have,
there
you
are
have to
many
add,
proofs.
you have to add whether you are which kind of feminism you are talking about. Are you talking about radical feminism or other type of feminism? You have to be very clear on that, right? So because that makes a difference in your presentation.
All three parameters of feminism
Right.
I have discussed in my paper.
Conclusion, I was asking you to present the conclusion. I said this is the conclusion, and that was not the conclusion. Sorry for that, because a conclusion is the statement of a researcher based on the findings that he or she has, got from the research. Thank you very much, Arun.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your suggestion.
Okay. Now I will go to the next one. Now again, I will call upon Mr. Lakshman Prasad Bhandari, Assistant Professor, Lumbini Banija Campus, and he's also the MPhil Scholar in Kathmandu University. The title of his presentation is Teaching Writing Through Task-Based Instruction, English Teachers' Experiences. Lakshmanji, 7 minutes.
Yes, sir.
आमा चिया खानुहुन्छ हजुर
Thank you, respected professor, my respected guru, the session chair of this session. And today, I'm going to present my paper, Teaching Writing Through Task-Based Instruction, English Teachers' Experiences. So the presentation outline like this. Let me move through the background of the study. I myself, when I was a student, was a passive listener in the class, and all the students did the same. And we were the rote learners. We were not engaged, means we did not get opportunities to engage in working and writing together. That we had to memorize the things that our teachers gave us. So my experience later on when I went to the university was really in the text Awasti had written. Most teachers are still using the traditional grammar translation methods at all levels. But today the focus of second level English curriculum is on the use of O-level English language skills in a variety of personal, social, and academic contexts. The problem I found is that although the task-based language teaching is taught in the universities, the ELT practitioners discuss on it. The universities, teacher professional development centers, and schools train teachers to be learner-centeredness. Despite their and the previous researches also show that teachers hold positive attitudes positive perceptions towards using task-based language teaching and writing and other skills. Despite all these things, good things, the practice is less. We can observe less practice in our context. That's why I was very much interested to explore whether our teachers, especially secondary level English teachers, practically use task-based language teaching in teaching writing skill they learn in the university training and workshops. The purpose of the study to explore teachers' experiences of teaching writing through task-based language teaching. And based on the purpose, I said 2 questions. How do English teachers experience TBLT, task-based language teaching and teaching writing? And to what extent do the teachers' experiences align with the intent of the prescribed English curriculum in the secondary level in relation to teaching writing? So the gap was that the available studies, the literature are based on observation and questionnaire. There have been studies, but these are based on observations and questionnaires. Task design and implementation is less explored. And teachers' voices, their stories, their pains, their experiences of using task-based language teaching, especially in teaching writing, is unexplored. I didn't find the exploration of this in our context. So I purposely selected 2 teachers from Rupande district, and I interviewed them in order to collect the data, and the data were analyzed based on the taxonomy of tax types by Willis and Willis, 7 tax types. And moving towards the findings and discussion, English teachers are theoretically aware of task-based language teaching, that they study learner-centeredness and task-based language teaching in the universities. And one of the participants said, yes, task engage students. That shows that they have developed this kind of theoretical knowledge. Tasks in the textbooks are meaningfully sufficient at the present curriculum if they are used effectively. So English curriculum, today's curriculum includes tasks like listing, ordering and sorting, comparing, contrasting, problem solving, writing the projects, and creative tasks, etc. for teaching writing. And these have been included in the curriculum that was explored through the interview. Besides textbooks, teachers prepare and implement tasks for teaching writing. It was also explored that the teacher participant said one student, so very interesting thing was explored there. One student showed me her video of planting paddy, and I used this as a task for writing stories. The teacher used that video in the classroom and asked the students, engage the students in groups and pairs to write stories, dialogues, and essays, and they enjoyed writing in groups. So this was task-based language teaching is a learner-centered and experiential pedagogical approach that arose from the practice of communicative language teaching. So this goes in the line of S 2017. And students help it, while writing in the group, the students help each other in accomplishing writing tasks, and their learning is more effective than just simply sitting in the lecture of the teacher that I had to face when I was a young student. Tasks improve EFL learners' ability in writing competence that our present curriculum in secondary level also suggests to develop vocabulary, content, and organization of writing, along with a specific communicative purpose that has been added in the present curriculum. And this also goes in line with Kafi Power et al.'s research that was conducted in 2018. However, although the teacher participants showed their good understanding of task-based language teaching in relation to teaching writing, it was explored that they are not fully able to bring their knowledge and skill into practice. Means participants said, I cannot complete the course in time if I get them to do all these tasks. Last year, I was called by the principal. Actually, it was explored that the teachers are compelled to complete the course at any cost. Even though they are good at using these kind of skills, they are not allowed to use in the classrooms in order to complete the course, or even they were scolded by the administrators or the principals for that, they means blaming that they allowed the students to discuss, talk, and make noise. And the conclusion, the pre-service teacher education in the university helps teachers develop theoretical knowledge of text-based language teaching. Text-based language teaching is in teaching writing. However, they experience it only after they started teaching in schools. They got the practical knowledge of this only after teaching at school. And in addition to textbook tasks, teachers also design and implement writing tasks. Students learn better in pairs and groups than from teachers one-way lecture. And one more thing I explored, that the teachers need better exposure, maybe the trainings, seminars, or these kind of conferences to fully bring their knowledge of designing, sequencing, and implementing tasks in teaching writing effectively to achieve the objective or the intent, the aim of the curriculum. These are the references. Thank you. I'm done with.
Thank you. You finished in time, I should say, because you only took 50 seconds more. Lakshmanji, you focused much on the CDC prescribed secondary level English, exploring teachers' experiences, right, in teaching writing. Particularly through task-based instruction. Talking about task-based instruction, we should focus on it, but we should not forget that it should always be contextual, right? Any task will not give meaning. So the task that you require and the task I require for the same kind of classes may be different because we live in different contexts. So that I would like to remind you here. Your research, you see, that showed the major issues of pedagogy, indicating that teachers know what it is, but the problem in our context is that they never use it in their classrooms. They know what they can write. Yeah, they can write 50 pages of what task-based instruction is about, but they do not know how to use it inside their classroom. This is the dilemma in our context. You agree on that? So you see, meaningful ELT requires task-based instruction, not only in writing. It is equally important in listening, speaking, and reading too. If you agree on that, because I would like to suggest on that too. So yes, your strength is that you have built the theories and the literature that you have integrated very beautifully with the kind of narratives that you have come of your participants. That's what is required for an MPhil thesis tomorrow. So I would like to congratulate on that strength. Keep it up, right? And you have written a very good conclusion, and that is what conclusion is what I was looking for, and that's a very good signal for you, right? And one thing, my only one comment to your presentation is about your research question. There are two research questions. One starts with how, that's good. The other one starts with to what extent. To what extent is not a qualitative term, it's a quantitative term. So you have to change that term, right? To what extent is this much, right? So please try to, improve your research questions with all the qualitative terminologies, right? That's the only one that I would like to suggest you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And now I would like to invite another participant, Mr. Hotaraj Khanal, MPhil Scholar, Kathmandu University, and lecturer Kapil Vastu, multiple campus. Kapil Vastu is going to present on impact of socio-cultural and economic changes in ELT. Hotaji, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here. May I share my screen, sir?
Oh, you ask the organizers. They would allow you.
Please.
Okay. Is it visible, sir?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Now your time starts now.
Okay, good afternoon to everybody and Guru. Thank you, Lumbini Badija campus, for providing such golden opportunity to me. And the topic today I'm going to present is impact of socio-cultural and economic changes on ELT. So me Vatraj Khanal, lecturer Kabil Vastu multiple campus, Toliwa Kabil Vastu. Now all the things from the slides. Background. So sorry. And the background, under the background, society is divided into high socio-cultural background and low socio-cultural background. Social leaders, merchant, political leaders, high class family are from high social cultural background. Children from those families go to private school. They are cared, respected, get more facilities and opportunities. Children get more exposure and compulsion to use English. Formal and informal learning takes place in those schools. We become very happy when we are called as dad and mom in place of bua ama, and sending the children at private school, we realize our prestige and different than others. Then next slide here. So people from low socio-cultural background send their children at public school in the context of Nepal. People having low income, low status are compelled to send the children at public school. Children from such socio-cultural background are neglected, dominated in the society and get less facility at school. English is not compulsion in those schools and get less exposure. Formal learning takes place, but rarely informal learning of English takes place. So it means now the next slide, the relationship between culture and society. Society, whenever we see the relation, society is a group of people. Culture is a belief that was developed by the society. Norms, values, and tradition are followed by the people. These are created by society but not nature. Culture is abstract network and followed by society. We don't see it, we just believe it. Culture makes society alive as well as meaningful. It is like water and fish or water life. So there is society, that's why there is culture, and both have very strong relationship between each other. The next slide, language and culture. The relationship between language and culture is the matter of iceberg, like the ice, piece of the ice. The visible part, whatever we see when we observe the ice, that is language, and whatever we don't see or whatever it has been hidden inside the ice, that is invisible part, that is called culture. So it means that there is very strong relationship between language and culture, as if the iceberg, it is like flesh and blood. Language is flesh and blood is culture. So without blood, the flesh doesn't work or can't work. Similarly, if there is no flesh, there is no meaning of blood. Similarly, teaching language means teaching culture. When we enter the language in the class, we are entering the culture, and we cannot separate the culture from the language. language enters in the classroom when we enter the culture, or language enters in the classroom, or it means that when we teach the language, there will be culture, and culture is always associated with language. So they are as if the two sides of a coin. Without culture, language is meaningless and tasteless. Similarly, change in cultural trends and its impact on ELT. Until 1970s, language and culture were separate. Means the people used to think that language was the different thing and culture was different. That's why the linguistic forms were taught, but those forms were not associated with the culture. And when we talk at that time, the method that was used and developed in America and practiced most of the countries, audiolingual methods emphasize on the form rather than the culture. So only the students were taught to create the form rather than the joining with the culture. Development, media, and migration change everything. Because of the development, because of the media and migration, they changed our thought.
Vatraji,
Yes, sir.
Vatraji, you
Yes,
have
sir.
you have less than 1 minute to finish.
Okay, sir, sure. So I'm moving with all the slides then. Okay,
Yes.
and here, see the present situation, COVID-19, that has changed our culture and our thoughts. So now the ELT has been also changed. See, we are using the online learning, ICT learning because of this, because it has changed our perspective, it has changed our culture, and impact of economic changes on ELT. So I'm unable to define these all the things due to the lack of time. As Sir has already informed to me, and just showing the slide, impact of economic change on ELT. So yeah, the points I have written. Finally, I will read the conclusion because I have development of ICT and its impact on ELT. So pedagogy fits according to the culture, context, and topic. Not a book, word is in front of learner. And conclusion is the source suggests me. Now I'm running to the conclusion here. Socio-cultural and economic aspects are changeable. As if the human being, our socio-cultural aspect is regularly going on changing. In the past, whatever we had, now we don't have such type of cultures. And similarly, migration, development have mixed up the culture. So we nowadays the society have been mixed, and the different ICT and migration, whatever we are getting, they have mixed our culture, mixed our thought, and the social group have been mixed. So
Thank
our
you.
thought have been changed.
Thank you, Vatraji.
Okay,
Thank you, Vatraji.
Okay,
Now
okay.
I
Thank
have
you,
to
sir.
stop you here. I have to stop
Okay,
you
it
here.
is stop,
Thank you
sir.
very
Thank
much.
you, sir.
Thank you very much.
These are the
Now let me talk about your paper.
Okay,
And I'm sorry to say that this is not a research paper. This is not a research paper. Your title is not a research title. This is just like an essay title, right? And why I am talking, this is not a research paper, is that you do not have any data here, right? So now you see, you have written in the beginning of your paper that I'm a learner, I'm crawling, and that's fine. You are learning since you are a MPhil scholar in Kathmandu University, right? So you have to do a lot in research. This is not a research. This is because you see, you have used only 5 citations in the total paper, but in the references you have given 10 of them, right? So that is not a justice for the research academia. So you have to be very careful. Whatever you have cited in the body, that only goes to the references. That's one thing. And for the topic, impact is a very big word. And again, socio-cultural and economic are other big words. So you have to be very careful while selecting a topic that should be narrowed down so that you could conduct a research in this small piece of research. Anyway, thank you very much for your attempt and hope you will improve in the future. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Now I will call upon Mr. Madhukar Sharma, Assistant Professor from Lumbini Banijya campus. He is going to present Teaching Research Nexus in Higher Education Management. Mr. Madhukar Sharma is there.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm not feeling very well, and I'm in fact having fever. That's I'm presenting from my home. So, Punram sir, can you please share the slides of mine?
Teaching Research Nexus in Higher Education.
Please.
Okay, Madhukar sir, do you share your slides yourself, or do you have to help
Please,
you?
please share the slides, if possible.
Okay, we are sharing. Please try to look at them.
Okay, sir.
Okay, is the slide visible to you?
Yes, sir. I'm seeing the slides.
Okay.
Can I proceed now? Am I audible?
Yes, you can start.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm so happy to be presenting my paper with all of you, respected chairperson of this session, distinguished personalities, and all the research aspirants. Please, next slide. My presentation covers these things. Next slide, please. I would like to begin with how I was interested in this issue, that is teaching resource nexus in higher education management. Whenever I went to academic meetings, I hear academics, research scholars, and policymakers talk about the importance of research in teaching learning. Then I was interested in knowing something more about teaching learning nexus. This is how I came up with the topic teaching resource nexus, higher education management. Next slide. I was interested in finding the answer to these two questions. First, why are universities and policy makers calling for stronger integration of teaching and research? Second is, what are the different facets of the relationship between teaching and research? In other words, what are the different dimensions of teaching and research nexus? Next, please. Based on the literature review, three different relationships between teaching and research were investigated: positive, negative, and zero or neutral. So teaching research nexus has three different dimensions. There is a positive relationship, there is a negative relationship, and there is a zero or neutral relationship. Next slide, please. Positive nexus between teaching and research. Two models support this relationship, namely the conventional wisdom model and the generic underlying probability model. These two models support the positive nexus between teaching and research. Next slide, please. In the same way, there is also a negative nexus between teaching and research. I was not sure whether the teaching and research were positively related only. So there is a negative relationship between teaching and research. And for these, three models have been used to support this relationship: the scarcity model, the different personality model, and the divergent reward model. There is a neutral or zero relationship between teaching and research. And to support this kind of relationship, three models have been used or proposed, namely the different enterprises model, the unrelated personality model, and the bureaucratic funding model. Next, please. And of course, secondary data were used for the necessary information in the data. The pure text research method was used. Next slide, please. Next slide. Based on the literature review and the data available, these are the findings that I have come up with this research paper. Teaching and research are linked to each other. So there is a linkage between teaching and research. Research is how you produce or create new knowledge. On the other hand, teaching is how you circulate that knowledge to learners and communities at large. Next slide, please. The nature of teaching research is a phenomenon. In other words, teaching research nexus is not always a straightforward phenomenon. So it is a debatable issue. Of course, there is a positive, negative, and zero relationship between teaching and research. Next slide, please. In general, what I found is that research helps improve quality in teaching. In addition, research promotes originality and creativity in learners and in teachers as well. Next slide, please. And conclusion, my conclusion is that teaching research nexus has been a debatable issue to date. Despite negative and zero relationship, positive relationship should not be ignored by the higher academic institutions, students, academics, policy makers, researchers, and all the concerned. Next slide, please. In a nutshell, what can be concluded is that this positive nexus promotes a culture of research-led, research-based, and research-informed teaching and community. Next slide. Next slide. Yes, please. Next. The slide is not being forwarded. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. You finished 1 minute earlier. Thank you very much,
Yes,
Madhukarji. Since you are not feeling well, I hope you will get well soon, right? Now you see,
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
this is a very interesting topic about the research nexus that we're talking about in higher education management. And your study is basically based on the desktop or the secondary information that we can always agree, right? So your focus is not only on research, your focus is on teaching and research together, right? So that's what I understood from your paper. That one is very good. So you have tried to bring the perspectives of academics, researchers, and students, whatever you have found in the literature that you reviewed. And in order to review your literature, you went to 8 different models, which is very good. And your major strength is that you have those models associated with the nexus that you are talking about. That is your strength that I found in your research. There are 2 things that now I would like to talk about. You see, although your research is not based on Nepalese context, you see, Nepalese context is passing through the negative nexus one. Do you agree on that?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right?
I do agree. I do agree, sir.
Yes. Okay. So you have dealt with 3 different nexus, and I made them 4. I separated the no nexus and the neutral nexus separately, but they may carry different meanings: zero nexus and neutral nexus. So that's that I would like to suggest you to go through 4 different nexus: positive, negative, zero, and neutral. And one thing that I would like to suggest you, this is a very good research paper, no doubt. But even if this is a secondary information-based research paper, if you could have, you see, interviewed 3 or 4 teachers or the managers or the policy makers regarding this research in higher education, you could add the Nepalese flavor so as to, you see, convince people about the importance of research in higher education. That's the only comment that I have in your paper. Congratulations. Get well soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Sir, one more question, sir, for you.
Sure.
So I'm interested in doing my PhD on this topic. So, is this topic be suitable for me?
you see, now regarding the topic, you can write me in my message box. I'm
Okay,
going
sir.
through, right, and I will
Yes, sir.
I will tell you, because we will not use this time. We'll use
Thank you.
separate time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your information.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now, I would like to invite Romnath Sharma, Assistant Professor, Lumbini Banija Campus, who is also MPhil Scholar in Kathmandu University, who is going to present English language teaching through literature. Romji, are you there? Yes. Okay. Okay, now you can start.
Shall I begin, sir?
Yes.
Respected chair of this session, campus chief of Lumbini Banija campus, all the scholars, researchers, and dignitaries. I'm going to present my ideas on English language teaching through literature. So I have summarized, I have taken the main ideas of these contents. This study has attempted to clarify that teaching and learning English language without using literature cannot become effective. And this study has basically based on qualitative research design. And the study revealed that the use of literature is very essential for improving language skills and critical thinking skills and teaching English in natural setting as well. Talking about the context of my study, I've collected the experience of more than a decade, and I have collected experience of using literature and not using literature. But I feel myself, when I use literature in the language classroom, students feel more vigorous and just more interesting in just learning. So these days, as the use of literature in English language teaching has been declining, thus it made me think about this topic. The rationale of my study is that yes, the use of literature has been ignored, and I have expected the finding of this research will contribute to increase the use of literature in English language teaching classroom. However, I don't say use of literature is the best method. And as Purdue states, the search for an inherently best method should perhaps give way to a search for ways in which teachers and specialist pedagogy perception can mostly widely interact with one another so that teaching can become most widely and maximally real. Because there is no best method, as it depends on the context and as many other natural settings. The purpose of my study is to explore the significance of the use of literature in language teaching, to dig out the rationale behind learning English through literature, to analyze the perception of English language teachers in using literature in their English language classroom. And based on my purpose of the study, as I have prepared my research questions, what is the significance of using literature in language teaching? What is the rationale behind learning English through literature? What is the perception of English language teachers in using literature for language teaching and learning? And my literature review is, as I have tried to sort the symbiotic relationship between language and literature. Literature supports for the language development. Likewise, language is necessary to create a piece of literature. As Paul states, literature being a conrich, disorderly jumble of organized word patterns from unconscious race traditions and half-conscious personal impression, it must itself take and react upon each individual experiences. So, as it shows that literature is just very important. And as regarding language, it is a system of arbitrary creating us on the basis of random choice.
Romji, save your time skipping this literature part.
So my theoretical base of the study is that my study is based on ideas of constructivism, because as inferring meaning and theme has been based on the experience and stories of the research participants. And my theory of learning is based on social cognitive learning theory. My focus is that use of literature simply does not foster the language skills. It simultaneously fosters the critical thinking of the thinking skills of the students as well. As Navabi states, social cognitive learning theory places a heavy focus on cognitive concepts. And there are the certain teachers for using literature for language development. As Coley and Slater state on 4 main reasons. They are: literature is the valuable, authentic material; literature is the source for the cultural enrichment; literature for language enrichment; literature for the personal.
Romji, do you hear me, Romji?
Yes, sir, I'm listening.
You have only 2 minutes left, so you go to findings and discussion. Okay.
Okay, sir. Regarding my research method, as I have used 4 research participants, and from two schools, one from community-based school and one from private schools. Yes, I have used the narrative inquiry method, as I did not use just many research participants. And my finding is based on mostly on the experience, as I have inferred the meaning based on the stories and experience of the research participants. I have collected the data that's on the basis of the ideas I got from the unstructured questions which I asked and which is responded by my participants. And regarding my data analysis findings, yes, I have created 2 themes, or I have inferred 2 meanings just from my study. Yes, one is that perception of teaching English through literature, and all the 4 participants agreed that use of literature is very important. They also agreed that at these days, as curriculum designers have ignored the use of to encompass the literature in English courses. And as another meaning or theme which I have created from my analysis of the response of the participants is that literature paid for the way of developing critical thinking skills. No doubt, this literature is very helpful to foster for language skills, but simultaneously it also has developed the critical thinking skills like analyzing, problem solving, interpreting, and so on. And I have a very careful implementing quality standard and ethical consideration. I have used pseudonym of the participants in my paper. And so the conclusion of my presentation as this study is: participants, teachers' perception of using literature in English language teaching is very positive. Use of genre of English literature, particularly short stories and poems, are very useful to teach language. Moreover, literature written by non-native English are more appropriate to teach, creating context in the language classroom, whereas the literature created by native speakers are very useful to teach English language teaching, creating natural setting. However, as the language teacher should be careful in selecting the literary text as for needs, expectations, interest, and language level of the learner's context and aspects of the learners while using literature for teaching English language. And these are my references.
Thank you, Romji. Thank you very much. And let me talk in brief about your paper. You have explored the symbiotic relationship between language and literature. That's very good, right? And you have focused mainly on using literature as a language learning tool. That I can agree. And you have used your methodology as a narrative inquiry. Your strength is your review of literature. This is very good. The reviewing the literature, the theoretical part and the empirical part, the policy part that you have reviewed, you see, is very good, and that you can cast later on your data analysis part. But while going through your data analysis part, your paper that I received from the organizer did not talk anything about the data analysis. Very brief, maybe less than 1 page. But you have tried to explain now, but that has not done justice to your literature review. So what I would like to suggest you is that whatever data you have collected about the literature and language, please integrate, connect them to the literature and the theory that you have reviewed before, so that your research becomes, impressive to the reader in the academia. there are three research questions that you have talked about. One, you are trying to talk about the significance of the language and literature. Next is that the rationale you are trying to dig out, and ways of using the literature as language tool. But you see, these research questions have not been answered yet in your research paper. That is my, this is a critical comment maybe, but you may be doing it and completing it in future. Many congratulations. Thank you very much.
As well now.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I would like to invite the next presenter. Just a minute. I'll close this here. Okay, next presenter is Miss Kamala Casey, lecturer, Butol Multiple Campus. She is presenting on perception of teachers about the role of parents in developing reading habits of basic level students. Kamala ji, 7 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Namaste and a warm afternoon to everyone present in this international webinar. I'm Kamala Casey, and I'm lecturer at Butol Multiple Campus, Tribhuvan University. Let me move towards my slides. The title of my presentation is Role of Parents in Developing Reading Habit of Children, and it is the teacher's perception. I would like to begin with the quotation of Albert Einstein here. If you want your children to be intelligent, read them fairy tales. If you want them to be more intelligent, read them more fairy tales. I connected this quotation of Einstein, who lived in 18th century, who believed in the influential role of parents in developing a reading habit of children, or storytelling habit of the parents to children, so that they could develop their reading habit. Background of the study, the research context. The major question of my research is that why do we need to develop reading habit in children? I would like to quote Lee 1991 here, who writes that reading habit helps children learn language incidentally and develop positive attitudes in reading books when it is immersed in meaningful text. Yes, I do believe that reading habit needs to be cultivated to children since the very initial phase of their life. As children get lots of reading exposure through reading materials, textual or non-textual materials. And especially it needs to be developed in context like Nepal, where English is learned and taught as a second language. I would like to connect my personal and professional experience with this. I do remember my father giving me a book named The Merchant of Venice when I was enjoying my leisure time after SLC in 2053. Yes, I was not good at reading at that time, but I take that book as a kind of encouragement of my father to me to get into reading. If I talk about my professional experience, we do see lots of problems in reading, especially the children in government schools show less interest in reading materials in comparison to other skills like writing. Writing has most been emphasized. So these problems bring me to the statement of the problem of my research. As parents assume that children start reading on their own, or they give full responsibility to teachers for students' better academic career, as we hear lots of parents saying that, yes, this is your responsibility, we are paying fee, and this is your responsibility to help our children grow up academically. And yes, this is the time of information and technology, and our children spend most of the time playing games, watching television, surfing net, and my two small children, two boys, are the evidence of this. purpose and the research question to explore. The main purpose of my research was to explore the perception of teachers about the role of parents in developing the reading habit of children for enhancing better academic performance. The major research questions were: what do teachers mean by reading habit of children? How can parents develop reading habit of their children? How can reading habit enhance better academic performance in children? I used Vygotsky's social constructivism as a theory in my research work. Vygotsky believed in more knowledgeable other, as he writes that language is better learned when the children communicate with more knowledgeable other, or the peers, the family members, or their parents at home. He also talks about the theory of scaffolding support. Yes, parents can be good support for children to begin this habit at home or before they get into the school. And Vygotsky 1978 also talks about the learning environment. So building reading habit means children should have a kind of environment at home where they get lots of books of their level and interest, or if they have textual materials, their parents guiding them, helping them to go through all these things. So parents need to create a good learning environment at home to develop this habit. So this is my methodology. This is a qualitative research. I have used interpretive paradigm as it demands the researcher to be one of the participants of the study. And I am one of the participants of this study as being a parent of small kids and an ALT practitioner myself. So I purposely selected 3 English teachers. I took semi-structured interview, and data were analyzed and transcribed thematically. And this is the findings and discussion. So before getting the ideas of the teachers about the role of parents in developing reading habit of the children, I just wanted to get their own ideas, their understanding about the reading habit. So when I asked them about the reading habit of the children, one of my participants said that reading habit plays a vital role in developing other language skills. So reading helps children develop writing and speaking skill as well. And if children, especially children, get colorful books, they get more encouraged to read. And this is supported by ILOGO 2015, which states that picture books are the best to be introduced in the beginning. Similarly, another participant said that reading is a fundamental language skill. If it is developed as a habit since childhood, children get lots of exposure of different places, culture, which is supported by Lazar 1996, who writes that reading literary materials represent not only the life of the real world, but also the culture of the society in the text. Yes, I do believe in this. Reading habit makes students travel the world indirectly. Okay, and they can not only learn the language, they learn the culture, they learn the values and assumptions, they learn the real world. They understand themselves, they understand others and the entire world through reading.
Kamalaji.
Yes, sir.
You better wrap it up.
Okay, sir. Role of parents in developing reading habit of the children. A child cannot read on his or her own in the beginning. So he needs the support of the parents. If there is good parenting helping children develop this skill, they perform certainly better academically. Parents play a vital role in creating the reading environment. So creating the reading environment, yes, as we know that these days the concept of a small library for kids at home has been there in the discussion, and Vygotsky's theory of social constructivism too believes in the learning environment at home.
You skip the 2 slides and go to the conclusion.
Sir, yes, good parenting, conclusion, good parenting is more important than good schooling. Picture books are best to be introduced in the beginning. Home environment is important, and reading habit enhances better academic performance of the students. And it certainly contributes to all the concerned stakeholders like textbook writers, textbook designers, curriculum designers, teachers, parents, everyone who are concerned with education. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kamlaji. This is a very well organized work. Congratulations. This is my comment in the first place. You talked about the link between reading habit and learning English language. That's good. And you have emphasized more on home culture of reading so that the parents can influence in the reading of their children. That's good. You have beautifully integrated the theories and literature in data analysis. That part is very, very, very good, right? Now, I have 1 or 2 questions to you. The first question is that how did you generate the themes? The themes are okay with me, but there are certain rules of generating theme in qualitative research. So how did you generate the theme? By going through your paper, I did not find that you have not generated a theme through your data. You have generated a theme through your mind. Am I right? I don't know. If you have generated a theme through data, please tell me.
Yes, I did generate it from the data, sir. As I took the detail or interview of the participants, and from their information only, I could come to the findings, sir.
What happens sometimes, even if you have generated the themes from the data, it looks like it is coming from somewhere else. So you have to be very careful in choosing the words for the titles, for the themes. Okay, that's one observation. Another observation is that you have 3 research questions. One is about reading habit. Another is about parental, you see the roles, and another is you see is the academic performance because of the reading habit. You have 3 research questions, and you see all these 3 research questions. You see they are based on, do teachers and our parents understand the value of reading? So if you could focus something on the teacher's understanding or the parents' understanding about the value of reading, then this research paper would give more meaning. It has given meaning, I know, but it gives more meaning to the readers like me. I'm not a ELT teacher, but you see, I'm a so-called pedagogue. So I see things from pedagogy and research. So this is a very good piece of research. I congratulate you. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your suggestions, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Now I would like to invite the next presenter, Miss Manda Pokhrel, MPhil Scholar, Kathmandu University. She is presenting on classroom management, localized context. Manda ji.
Sir, Dr. Manaprasad Wagli, sir.
Ajay?
Manda Pokhrel is connected to us. So before Miss Manda Pokhrel, please invite Mr. Rameshwar Joshi. Jyoti, yes. Rameshwar Jyoti, please.
Okay.
Invite Mr. Rameshwar Jyoti, lecturer, Bhutul Multiple Campus.
Yeah, I have noted his title here. Rameshwar Jyoti, he is presenting on teaching English online during the COVID-19 pandemic, exploring students' perceptions. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, very good afternoon to the organizer, participants, and presenters from home and abroad. I'm going to give a short presentation of our research work on learning English through online engagement amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, exploring students' perception. My presentation overview covers context, research purpose, theoretical instance, method, results, and discussion, and it ends with conclusion. Well, Recently, alarming spread of COVID-19 has almost influenced every aspect of human life, and education is not the exceptional case. Many countries in the world have shut down education institution temporarily, until the situation calms down. The government of Nepal has also declared to shut down schools, colleges, universities, and other higher level institutions for a considerable period of time. That is why in this pandemic, there is no any other way except adapting online learning as an alternative way to face-to-face pedagogy. My own experiences of teaching in online engagement and the research, the literature that I reviewed also showed that online education in this pandemic situation is very crucial. It is crucial in the sense that students can get so many benefits from it, such as they can develop their language proficiency, they can develop their habit of working in collaboration. At the same time, they can get opportunity to develop their digital literacy as well. However, what I have found that many students seem reluctant in taking online classes. If they take, they leave the classes in the middle before the class is over. And some students never send the assignment on time, and whereas others go back. So why this is happening in this phenomenon, right? Is it because of their negative attitude towards online learning? Are they having problems or challenges in online learning? Is online learning really boring? These questions kept me haunting a lot. That is why I selected this issue as my research agenda.
Hi.
The purpose of my research was to explore how university students perceive online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. And to achieve this purpose, I sought to answer the following questions. What is the understanding of English students about online learning? What are the opportunities they get from online learning? And what are the challenges they face while learning in online mode? As a theoretical base for my research work, I adopted OCL theory, online collaborative learning theory. The theory believes that learners can create knowledge in a better way when they are encouraged and supported to work together in online environment. The theory assumes that knowledge is not individualistic. Knowledge can be constructed beyond the individuals through network connection. My research was phenomenological. I just tried to explore the lived experiences of 6 MA level English students who were learning online. And the nature of my research was qualitative. I purposely selected 6 participants, 3 participants from each TU affiliated campuses located in Butul sub-metropolitan city. As a data collection technique, I use semi-structured interview through online. I had 3 rounds of interview with the participants to uncover their lived experiences and narratives. As the nature of my research was qualitative, I analyzed the data descriptively, and on the basis of the collected data, after coding and giving themes, I generated these 3 subheadings: students' perception towards online learning, opportunities of online learning, and challenges of online learning. While my participants were asked about their attitude or perception of online learning, they very frankly opined that they had affirmative attitudes. They opined that they had a lot of advantages and benefits or opportunities when they joined online classes, such as they could develop their writing skill, they got chance to be familiar with digital literacy and got opportunity to work in collaboration. Not only this, they also find that to some extent, they got chance to be connected with teacher and their peers, and they could share their experiences and knowledge through virtual meeting. And the class was often much more fun because the class included audio, video, authentic material, and online resources. My participants also viewed that they had some challenges of online learning, such as they often got confused and felt anxiety, particularly at the time of giving presentation. They had the lack of Wi-Fi connection at home. That is why they had to depend on costly mobile data every day. Besides this, they had some other challenges as they revealed, such as unstable internet, frequent power cut, and background noise at home, since they lack the peace zone in their houses. Besides this, they also revealed that both teachers and students were poor in dealing with this internet and smart gadgets. Now I am at the conclusion. Overall, my participants viewed that online learning saved class time. They had no tension of waiting for a crowded bus on the roadside. They didn't have to pay bus fare. Neither they had to be worried about the rented room. Since they did not need to go to campus physically, they had no loss of energy and waste of money. On the other hand, they opined that online learning developed their creativity in learning. Online learning motivated them for collaborative and autonomous learning. At the same time, they also presented or asserted some problems or challenges in online learning, such as technical problems that were related to handling with smart gadgets or digital gadgets, digital illiteracy of both students and teachers, and they had the lack of peace zone at home. And another main problem they raised and opined is they often felt anxiety and fear, particularly at the time of giving presentation, preparing slides, and having discussion or giving responses to the teachers online. Thank you, sir. I am done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jyotiji. Thank you for your presentation. You have presented very well on time. You talked about the understanding of English by the students, the opportunities they receive, the challenges they face while you see learning through online during this COVID-19 pandemic. This is a very contextual topic, very relevant topic for today. Thank you very much. And you have used OCL theory, right? OCL theory, right? That's very good. And you have taken 6 participants. All of them are M.Ed English students from Tribhuvan University around Butterwall, right? Around Butterwall. So that's, and you said you have used the phenomenological study as your methodology. That's fine with me. But while talking about phenomenological study, it is more writing than research. Do you agree or not in phenomenological study? Because phenomenological study is the artistic expression of the researcher that counts more than what you have studied or you have done. The writing part is very much important in phenomenological study. So I have not received your paper before. Just you requested me and I accepted. So maybe in future I would be able to get your research paper, and I will suggest you whether your writing part in phenomenological study was okay or not, right? But you as a researcher, you must have done justice on that. So you see, phenomenological study demands for artistic expression while you see writing the paragraphs. while you see interpreting the kind of narratives that you collect from your participants. That one. Another, you see, only one thing that I would like to think about your research is that you talked about the opportunities and understanding by the students, you see, in online study. In each of the, in understanding and in opportunities, please integrate the kind of challenges that you have explored from them, so that readers like me will understand, although the students understand from the online, what kind of challenges do they have in understanding, not like that you see the net or the laptop or something like that. Similarly, they have the opportunities, but do they or are they able to grasp those opportunities? Are there any hurdle on that? So you see, if those were talked separately in your separate research questions 1 and 2, the last challenge is what is okay that you can do. And one last comment of mine to you is that while presenting the conclusion, you said you brought that they indicated never talk like that in conclusion. Conclusion is yours, not theirs. Based on their perception, your statement is the conclusion. So I hope you would devise your conclusion in statements, your own statements as a researcher, not the person of the participants, research participants. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rameshwar Jyotiji. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now
the insights.
Thank you. Now, last but not the least, I am going to invite Ms. Manda Pokhrel. She is presenting on classroom management, localized context.
Namaste, everyone. I would like to request Mr. Lakshman sir to display my slides, sir. I'm having a bit of... Okay. So my topic says classroom management, localized context. Classroom management is itself a very huge topic. However, I have tried, in my research, I've tried to see it, the global concept of classroom management with the local context.
Ms. Manda Pokhrel, could you please open your video?
Next slide, please. So talking about the context, next slide, sir. Now talking about the context, first let's talk about the highlight. My presentation will be highlighting on the background, the participant, research question, and the finding. Now talking about the background first, being public school English language teacher in secondary level, I have taken the school where I have been teaching. And in the school, the participant is the teacher belonging to both the level. So now talking about the classroom management, there are different definitions of classroom management. It's a very vague, it's a very huge topic. Okay, so as a classroom management process, it says physical design of the classroom, rules and routine, relationship, engagement and motivation, instruction, discipline. These things are there. And what about these factors into the... Okay. What about these factors? That's fine, sir. Next slide, please. These factors are what classroom management focuses on. However, while talking about the classroom management, I found this definition by Coming, FOCUS, like face the speaker, organize, connect, and use questions and see pictures. So this term, the definition of focus, has defined the entire classroom management word. And so the skills and techniques that teachers use to keep the students organized, orderly, focused, attentive on task, and academically productive during a class. So all this definition requirement of classroom management is there within this one word, focus. That's according to Coming 2000. Next slide, please. Now, as I said, the participant of mine is one of the female English language teacher of secondary level school who teaches also in the middle English level and secondary level. And I have observed her classes for a week, her teaching into the class 7 class and her teaching in class 12. And the classroom setting is the same, the teacher is the same, but the students, the participants, the students are all different. And how is she doing her teaching, learning activities inside the classroom was my main focus of doing this research. Next slide, sir. Now, so research question. I have tried to see how does the teacher manage the classroom setting in 2 different levels of students, as the setting is same, mirroring for the middle school students also and the higher secondary level students also. However, the term is to be said secondary level now. How is the classroom management in practice with the use of locally available resources? So next slide, sir. Now talking about the locally available resources, I have these factors here: space, age, group work, sitting arrangements, learners autonomy, and democratic authoritarian. So regarding these factors, how is she handling the classes? How it's her English language teaching going inside the classroom was my main focus. As within our research about the classroom management, everything cannot be covered. So these are the things that has guided my research. Next slide, sir. Now, before talking the findings,
Anything wrong?
Ms. Manda Pokhel?
Oh.
I think Ms. Manda Pokhel has been disconnected.
Should we wait or should we conclude?
So let's wait for a while. We
Okay,
are contacting our user.
Sure.
Sorry, I was having some network issue here. I'm in my school, and so a network problem is
Okay,
like.
you can continue. You can continue.
Yeah, okay, thank you, sir. So after, as I'm the teacher here myself, and I saw my colleague teaching in both the level in the same setting, I was very much interested on her methods, on her way of handling the classroom, and that's why that made me do this research. And after I observed her classes and seeing different students, they are sitting in the same classroom where I used to see senior students sitting there, I found some of the things, and that laid my findings here. The sitting arrangements and classroom activities that I mean pair and group work in both the levels were same. That means the students sitting arrangements were same, as we have different, the theory of classroom management says different shapes of U-shaped, L-shaped, and based on the classroom or the age of the learners, we share the classroom setting has to be changed. But the classroom setting to both the levels were same here. And the teacher was using the same techniques. I mean, in both the classes, she was using most of the time lecture methods, and sometimes to the senior classes, interaction activities were there. When they were asked question, some of them replied, but most of the students were passive. And the number of students were also ranging from 45 to 50 in a class. And next thing regarding seating arrangements, in class 7 there was rotation going on, but in higher secondary level there was no rotation. Wherever the students wanted, they could sit. In the higher secondary level, there was no distinction between boys and girls sitting. Wherever they wanted, they would sit. But in the 7th class, the students had one bench partner, and specifically girls were with girls and boys were with boys. So the sitting planning was there. That was on the difference, but the arrangements in the table or the desk bench was not there. And in school, because of different responsibilities regarding the time factor I'm talking here, because of different responsibilities in the school, where she was the class teacher of class 7, she was all 7 days I observed, and during those 7 days always she was 5 minutes late, because she had to see all the different activities inside the school, after the assembly, whether all the students have gone to the classroom or not. So as the responsibilities were given to the teachers, she was the one.
Mandaji,
Yes, sir?
now you
Yes, sir?
you have crossed your time. Please do it fast.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So in higher secondary level, but she was in time, so punctuality was there. The discipline factor, the students in 7th class, the last benches were not paying attention. One of the girl was sleeping one day, I found, whereas in the higher secondary level also, the students were not much focused. So I would say that I found out because of the methodology and lecture method used much, there was no interaction, there was no much focus on the students. Next slide, sir. And because of this, I found that the mixed ability age learners were there in the class 7, and the students, one of the students questioned the teacher when she was asked question, because she said, I didn't understand anything. If I haven't, why would I answer? She responded like that. So it shows that
Okay,
I have
to stop here. Mandaji, I have to stop here. I have to stop you here. Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. You talked about classroom management, and you are talking about the use of local ideas and the big theories of classroom management in Nepalese context. That's what I found in your paper. That's a very good selection of the topic. However, I have some reservations on the topic that you have selected. This is not. This does not look like the research topic. This looks like I told before to somebody else, this looks like classroom management, localized context is not a research topic. It's just look like an article topic or an essay topic. So you have to be very careful on writing since you are the scholar, MPhil scholar in Kathmandu University, you know how to write the research topic. Okay, now in your paper, you have mixed two ideas, classroom management and classroom organization. There are two different things, but you have mixed them up. Like you see ability grouping, this is not classroom management, this is classroom organization. So you have to be very careful on talking about classroom management. Talking about classroom management, you have to focus on ceiling management, floor management, and the wall management. So these are the three major management that you talk in classroom management. The others, ability grouping and discipline, everything like that goes under the classroom organization part. So there are two different terms. You go to the dictionary and make yourself clear about the classroom management and classroom organization. Now you have also talked about learners' autonomy as part of classroom management. That's fine, but you have not given any citation on that learner autonomy. Since you are a student in Kathmandu University, there is a very good thesis on learner autonomy, a PhD thesis done by Sharmila Pokhrel in Kathmandu University School of Education. She finished her PhD last year. So there's a very good thesis on learner autonomy that you can use as reference for your learner autonomy part in classroom management. Themes you have generated, but I suggest you to revise your themes based on the data. The data are very good. So you can revise the themes based on the data that you have generated. Now you see, first, while interpreting your data, first give the narratives, then you see to give the meaning to the narratives, add your theories, add your literature, and at the end, come up with the meaning, what you got from the narrative. So that way you write a thesis in your future, right? I'm just talking this to you, and you have done a very good job. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Now, as chair of this fourth session, Sociology, Psychology, and Education, I would like one or two statements before I leave. although the session you see session theme is sociology, psychology, and education, most of the papers are on education part, the pedagogy part, the teaching part, and in teaching also many of them are related with ELT pedagogy. Well, that is my observation. Another observation is that all the presenters, the 10 presenters, they have worked very hard. They have worked very hard, and they are the potential researchers for tomorrow. Whether they are teachers, whether they are students, whether they are researchers today, they will become better researchers tomorrow. This is the signal that they have given. So in different papers, there are different tests, different methodologies adopted, mostly the qualitative research, from phenomenological study to narrative analysis. So I enjoyed this session very much. I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you, Professor Dr. for providing us your invaluable time for delivering or providing the insightful remarks to the presenters as well as to the campus. Thank you very much. So we would like to thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay, thank you very much. And I would like to thank all the paper presenters for presenting your wonderful presentations over here. Now we have entering into the valedictory ceremony. To conduct the valedictory ceremony, I would like to invite Dr. Bhagwati Prasad Chaudhary, Assistant Professor, Lumbini Banija Campus, as the moderator of the valedictory session. And thank you very much. Thank you. Yes.
Well, thank you, Punaram sir. Namaste. This is Dr. Bhagwati Prasad Chaudhary, Assistant Professor, Head of Research Program, Organizing Secretary of this International Webinar, Lumbini Banija Campus. I am the moderator for this valedictory ceremony. At the very outset, with kind permission of all the delegates, I want to read one sloka. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Vidya Rupeni Sansita Namastasya 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 Namo Namo. May Goddess Saraswati bless all of us with knowledge and strength. I bow down to her with all my being for making this webinar a grand success. Respected chairperson of this session, Professor Dr. Nagkishan Bhattrai sir, HOD Department of Research and Development, Lumbini Banija Campus, eminent guest and speaker of this valedictory ceremony, Dr. Man Bahadur PK, Principal Secretary, Provincial Government, Bagmati Province, Nepal, esteemed chief guest, special guest, chairperson of other session, key speaker, session chair expert, and guest. Beloved campus chief of Lumbini Banija Campus, Professor Dr. Tara Prasad Upadhyay sir, respected assistant campus chief of Lumbini Banija Campus, Associate Professor Vishnu Joshi madam, proud family of Lumbini Banija Campus, and friends. A very good afternoon to one and all. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all in this valedictory ceremony of second international webinar on recent developments in business management and social sciences. Ladies and gentlemen, we are delighted to have Professor Nagkishan Bhattrai, HOD Research and Department, Research and Development, Lumbini Banija Campus, as the chairperson of this ceremony. I request you to take your respectful seat, sir. Thank you, sir. Likewise, we are honored to have eminent personality, Dr. Man Bahadur BK, Principal Secretary, Bagmati Province, as a key speaker of this ceremony. I request you to take your seat, sir.
Yeah, I am here. Thank you so much.
BK, sir. Thank you, sir. Similarly, I request all the dignitaries and guests to take your respectful seat. Now I would like to request Assistant Campus Chief, Associate Professor Vishnu Joshi madam, to deliver your welcome address. Over to you, Assistant Professor Joshi ma'am.
Thank you, Bhagwati Chaudhary sir. Respected Chairperson of the valedictory session, Professor Dr. Anakrishna Bhattarai sir, respected Chief Guest, Honorable Finance Minister Vishnu Prasad Paudel, Government of Nepal, Key Speaker Manaprasad Vishwakarma sir, Chief Secretary Bagmati Province, Special Guest Honorable Chief Minister Shankar Pokhrel, Lumini Province, Nepal, other ministers from Lumini Province, Nepal, respected Vice Chancellors from different universities, national and international universities, rectors, registrars, present and former deans from different universities, Director of School of Management, Tribhuvan University, respected professors from different universities, representative from World Bank, all respected keynote speakers and session chairperson, President of Campus Management Committee and members, respected campus chief Professor Dr. Tara Prasad Upadhyay sir, immediate past campus chief and Vice President, Planning Commission, Lumini Province, Nepal, Organizing Committee Secretary and members, Subcommittee Coordinators and members, all the faculties of Lumini Banarsi Campus, administrative staffs and all participants from different countries. I would like to welcome you all in the valedictory session of the international webinar on recent development in business, management and social sciences spreading globally, Pragyanam Brahma Series 2. In 2018, we held the first international seminar in the history of Lumini Banarsi Campus, and this time too in the year 2020, we were trying to conduct it physically, but due to the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, it had to be conducted virtually. Even though in such a complex situations, seeing your presence and enthusiasm, it is believed that we can conduct such type of international seminars in any situations. So seeing your presence and honor, I welcome you personally, and on behalf of the Lumini Banarsi Campus, I like to welcome you all in this session. Once again, we, all the family members of Lumini Banarsi Campus, would like to extend a warm welcome to you all. We are very much honored by the presence of all dignitaries in these sessions. So once again, from my core of heart, I would like to extend my warm welcome to you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the wonderful speech, Associate Professor Joshi ma'am. We have been listening to eminent speakers deliberating in the areas of business management and social sciences since today morning. I believe all these valuable insights gives us new perspective that one should engage in research in different areas and contribute to enrich the knowledge for better tomorrow. We extend a happy thanks to all the eminent speakers and personalities for contributing invaluable knowledge among all of us. Now I humbly request distinguished guest of this session, Dr. Man Bahadur PK sir, to deliver your speech, sir. Over to you, Dr. Man Bahadur PK sir.
Okay, thank you, and hi everyone. Very warm good evening from Hetauda, Bagmati Province. Dear Chairperson of the session, dignitaries, distinguished professors, researchers, academicians, and all the participants.
Sir, please switch on your video.
Yeah, it's on. Is it visual? Yeah.
Yes, sir, we can.
And first of all, I would like to express my gratitude to Lumbini Banarsi Campus for organizing this very high-profile international webinar. Even though the time was not that much comfortable, but you managed this webinar. So thank you so much, including all the participants, dignitaries, professors, for bringing new ideas, new knowledge in this new normal situation. I'm really honored and would like to express my gratitude to the organizing committee for inviting me in such a dignified international seminar on contemporary issues of business, management, and social sciences. It is also very timely because COVID-19 pandemic has the devastating impact not only on health, but also to business, management, and social sciences. Therefore, now we are having high challenge on life, livelihood, and liberty due to this COVID-19 pandemic. And it is the right time that we generate some knowledge to cope with these challenges. So the generating knowledge, new knowledge, and reskilling our livelihood with the new policies and regulatory frameworks is the essential part of the day. And I hope that has been discussed in this seminar. I'm sure that these have been, there have been immense discussion on these topics by the researchers and academicians that will be path forward to reset the chronoeconomics. Chronoeconomics is, I coined that title and I have written some papers on it. That's given by me, that the chronoeconomics is the economic situation, that turmoil that have happened due to the COVID pandemic. So how to, get rid of from that chronoeconomics, which has brought us hardship to our life, livelihood, and liberty. That is, I think, the main issue of the day. And that might have been discussed a lot on this seminar. I am also presenting my thoughts on the similar topics. That is, I have already given that path forward to resetting chronoeconomics. I think it will make some value add for this session, that participant, all the students, researchers may have some idea and some novel, opinions on this. So I would like to share my PowerPoint presentation. Please allow me to share my PowerPoint presentation.
Minutes. Okay, sir. Sir, now you are able to share.
Okay, I am trying. Just see. Stop share. Share. And where to go? Files. Sharing.
Share screen.
Should I presentation whiteboard? See. Just I need to go to screen share and go to my PowerPoint presentation. No.
Entire screen, sir.
Entire screen. Just a moment. Is it now working?
Slide is not visible, sir.
Is it working now?
Now we can see. Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry for the interruption. Yeah, and in this slide, I am just showing you a background of COVID-19 pandemic, the impact of the pandemic, emergence of new policy, how liberal socialism resets chronoeconomics. There is some sort of ideological thought on liberal socialism that I think resets the chronoeconomics in a proper way. And there will be a conclusion. It will be very brief.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. Please make it last. Please slides to bold. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. And it is just about coronavirus. I don't want to go more on this. There is a death toll data due to COVID-19 till November 2 globally, and the Europe and American countries have the greater number of death toll due to this COVID-19. However, it has been spreading all over the country, all over the globe. But in the initial phase, there was a more pandemic to Europe and America, which follows the rule of neoliberal economics. I want to relate the spread of coronavirus with the economic policies. This is the total cases worldwide over time, how it moved past. And with this data, we can conclude, we can extract some points. For example, the amazing fact is that even though it has evolved in China, the spread jumped to the Europe and America. That means Europe and America, they mostly follow the open market economy or new liberal economy. Initially, severity of its outbreak was relatively higher in countries such as Europe and America. Countries with less liberal closed economies such as Cuba, North Korea, some Russian and South Asian countries were less affected initially. That means the coronavirus, the impact of the coronavirus jumped much faster in countries with open economy and less with closed economy. It is not merely a global health pandemic, but also a global humanitarian catastrophe. That's the known fact. So, open economy in the name of neoliberalism loses its resilience to control pandemic. It shows, the data shows that it has not that much resiliency to control the pandemic. There is a greatest recession around the globe since 1930s. This pandemic has the greatest recession. There is opportunity to undertake policy changes to address the public health challenges. There are so many new policies, new intervention to cope with the public health challenges. But there is also the opportunity to reset the global economy, to think on the global economy in a with a new idea. The economist Joseph Receptor called the gale of creative destruction. He named this pandemic as a creative destruction. It is a destruction, but it has created many spaces to think globally. There is a huge impact of pandemic. There are some I have collected. Global economy came to sudden halt because of the COVID-19. There is a devastating effect on human lives, livelihoods, and also the liberty. There has been the liberty has been limited due to this COVID-19 pandemic. Developing economics likely to be hit the hardest. It is natural that developing economics or underdeveloped economics hit hardest. They push many people into the extreme poverty. The estimate is that 1 billion people have been pushed to the extreme poverty due to this due to merely COVID-19. ILO assessment, they put the report that 2.7 billion workers, 4 in 5 of the world's workforce, they have impacted by this lockdown and partial full lockdowns and other containment. The recent data of IMF shows that there has been 10.5% drop in working hours. 10.5% working hour, that is equivalent to 305 million full-time jobs. That means that equivalent to 305 million full-time jobs have been dropped due to this COVID pandemic. It is a large number in the workforce. Devastating effect on workers in the informal economy. Out of that drop down, huge number of informal economy has been affected. There is around 1.6 billion informal economic workers has been impacted due to this COVID-19. Estimated drop in aggregate working hours, that's the just the figure of that thing, that is 305 million full-time job loss due to this COVID-19. On that, I wrote an article, in a title of "Luxury Lockdown Tackle to COVID-19, Fatal to Hunger." It can be, it is available at that link. the world economy, the IMF has estimated that the world economy in 2020 all are in negative growth, and however there is a hope of positive growth in 2021, but whether it can be achieved or not, with this scenario, it seems that it is very hard to achieve this positive growth in 2021. Advanced economies which mostly practice neoliberalism have immense contraction and flat recovery. We can see through that data that advanced economy has a poor economy in terms of resilience and equity. That means that the economy with the neoliberalism has a poor economy in terms of resilience and equity. There is no equity and neither there is resilience with this open market system. It has loss of $12 trillion in output, cumulative output. That is due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It is a huge loss. Never, the global have never encountered with that heavy loss. And there is a growth pattern. If with that $1.90, there is around 131 million people will be new poor due to this COVID-19. There will be addition of 131 million people pushed into the poverty due to this COVID-19. If we calculate on the basis of $1.90, if we calculate with 320, that goes up, 550, that goes up. That is the immense impact on poverty. There is also the issue of inequality. COVID-19 has risen the inequality. The globe was on the downward trending in inequality, but through this COVID-19, it again raised to around Gini coefficient of 42.7, which is very big for measuring inequality. That inequality reduces 8% of welfare. There is a estimate of welfare as well, and it says that there will be 8% reduction in the welfare of the people. Therefore, there is the global economy moves around this figure. There is a neoliberal economic policies practiced globally, and there is also the exclusionary social practices that divides people into have and have-nots, with class, with race, with other social taboos, and these things are pressing large number of households into the poor economy. However, they contradict each other as they complement each other as well. Neoliberal economy supports to the exclusionary social practices, and exclusionary social practices also complement to the neoliberal economics. But now there is a coronavirus that again press down to the poor household economy due to the neoliberal economic policies and exclusionary social practices. It has created inequality further. So the idea is that there is an emergence of new policy, new economic policy, new political policies that can reset the global economy, global situation intact. There is some justification. Though there was a counter policy of planned economy, but free market kept its dominant role till the date. Still today, we have the free market domination in the market or in the society, in the country. Keynesian economics evolved during 1930 depression to resolve that, that depression. But it has not been moved forward. It is because there were so many corporate elites. They bring again the liberal policy or free market so that they can have more profit rates, and that has been called new. That means new liberal, liberal economy, a new liberal economy policy, and is spread widely as the globalization. And that British Premier Thatcherism is the one concept for this new liberal economy, and that there was so many powerful financial institutions like World Bank, IMF, American Development Bank, Inter-American Development Bank. They push forward this policy of new liberal economy globally. But there was a Marxist idea was also there. They said that there is a class power that is created by the new liberal economy, and there were some example of mixed economy, especially for the third world, but they have not been successful that much. Therefore, they said that new liberal economy, through the globalization, it was like a contemporary form of imperialism. That was the idea of Marxism. Therefore, 1930s Great Depression was the result of free market. The financial crisis, we have financial crisis in 2008 and 2009. That is also a result of new liberalism. And the current COVID-19 pandemic, to large extent, it is the result of globalization. Therefore, they all are connected, and they are not supposed to continue to reset the global economy. It is because this phenomena is against the middle class, and they always favor to the wealthy persons and divide the people into have and have-nots. Larger people, living without with have-nots, and very limited person with much having global wealth. So these policies especially focus to exploitation of natural resources, that is public wealth, to have the private profit, private gain. That is the basic principle that that character is somehow called the profiteering character of the new liberal economy. There is a concept of division of labor, but it has been division of laborers. So it created caste, class, xenophobia, and larger number of people without having, basic needs as well to have a livelihood. There is a full worth of work. It is because this policy, this open market system does not allow workers to have the full worth of their work. So they are poor. Even though they work hard, they work for full time, more than 8 hours a day, but they are not paid fully, so that they are not able to have their livelihood well. The Oxfam has a very prominent report that 1% global rich people have the more than 50% of the global assets, and only for less than 50% global assets remain for the 99% global people. So that is the result of a new liberal economy, and that report said it crony capitalism, neoliberalism as a crony capitalism. Therefore, it does not support much for human well-being. Rather, it supports to raise the profit through the profiteering characteristic. It is said by Oxfam report. So there is a new idea. I wrote this idea while I was doing my postdoctoral research in Brandeis University, I brought this idea that protective liberalism. Liberalism is there, but that has to be supported by the protective measures so that there will be no one people living behind. Welfare, we have a welfare state, but welfare state needs the solidarity and protection. The open market system, what's its principle is that, winners takes all. Who wins the race? Only the wealthy people wins the race. So for people who cannot win the race, for those people, we need to have the protective measures to those weaker sections. Therefore, it is a, free market is an ideal force of stimulus. However, this protective liberalism under the political philosophy of liberal socialism can be a practical solution for welfare state. That's idea. There are some similar concepts evolve during various time frame. For example, Keynesian economics, that was in 1936, especially reviving economy from 1930s recession. Market socialism, Oscar Rejard-Lang, he brought an idea of market socialism. Mikey Koss, evolved the idea of civic liberalism. Anthony Gordons, he wrote The Third Way, bringing good ideas of both the economy. And there is a state capitalism, especially practiced by the communist country, including China. The economist is Adolf Wagner, who brought this state capitalism idea. Therefore, the welfare system, we have a welfare system, but welfare system should be constructed through the local and community level. What that protective liberalism or liberal socialism based upon, that is welfare system. The welfare system that is brought through the local and community level, which brings all the people together from the bottom. Changes for social welfare may benefit one section of the society. It is obvious that the social welfare policy benefits large number of people, but leaving some people behind. So there should be a compensation principle. This Kedler, X, and Besky has developed a compensation principle. The compensation principle is for the time being, but there is a large number of people who are getting harms from centuries with some specific social policies. For example, there are some caste, class, or race of people who have been living and left behind with some social policies. Therefore, there should be a reparation policy for their lost opportunity and dignity. They have lost their opportunity and they have lost their dignity for a time immemorial. So for those people, there should be a reparation policy. That is the liberal socialism begins from that reparation policy. That would be then create the equitable society. Amartya Sen proposed an equality adjusted welfare function. That welfare is equal to national income multiplied by 1 minus Gini coefficient. But his welfare function is based on economic monetary value, that is national income and inequality. But the inequality is not only the monetary value, but there is a result of exclusion, that is human value as well. That has to be measured in the context of inclusion exclusion dynamics, which may not be monetary value. I did my PhD in social inclusion in microfinance and concluded that the higher the inclusivity of policy, higher is its utility. That means welfare. Therefore, if we brought more people, more diversity in a policy, then there will be more utility. That will be more satisfaction. More satisfaction is more welfare. The process of making social choice or judging social welfare. But how can we bring this? We can bring this through the process of making social choices. Now, even today, the social choices are made through a limited person's sometimes elite only. Therefore, the process of making social choice has to be changed. That should be inclusionary representation policy and consensus oriented, not with the majority or minority. Rather, there should be a consensus orientation in decision making. The society or even a community will have a command over the means of production. The means of production should be collective entitlement, should have collective entitlement rather than individual one. Ultimately, the social well-being can be coined as the social capitalism. If we do this way, or collective entitlement or collective ownership of the means of production, then that can also be called social capitalism. Building inclusive governance from the bottom. These are the major feature of protective liberalism, or we can also say social liberal socialism, or also we can coin it as a social capitalism. These are the basic features, but there is more analysis, and I have written some papers on this. As a conclusion, that's what I shared. I don't want to make it longer. Not only the health pandemic, it is not only the health pandemic, rather a human pandemic, the greatest economic turmoil on life, livelihood, and liberty. The globe has never encountered with this much greatest turmoil. It has created opportunity to reset the policies, regulatory framework, the policies and regulatory framework. The protective liberalism can be one policy. We can have discussion more, and it can be a human economics rather than money economics. It can be a human economics, really addressing to the human rather than profit, rather than monetary value. And people, and it would be for people, planet, and prosperity, no one leaving behind. Therefore, liberal socialism, it promotes the open governance from the bottom. It promotes open governance from the bottom, protect environment, it is environment friendly. And the principle is creating the green job. Green job is environment friendly job creation, respect cultural diversity, and rewards the pluralism. Therefore, this idea came through, and it has been thought that this idea can reset or reconstruct the global economy that makes all the people in an equal rank. They can enjoy everything in an equal footing. That is something I brought since this webinar, being a platform to have a new idea. I think there might have many new ideas discussed during the session. I had this idea, and I would like to thank you all for hearing this, listening this new idea, and we can have more discussion on this. I have some papers based on this idea. In this link, you can get some papers, some articles, even some parts of this book, Eradicating Hunger. This is a book I published after my postdoc research, and this idea is on this book, and you can get some parts of this book in this link. This is my email. If there is anything you want to discuss further, or you want to send some ideas, this is my email. I welcome all the ideas for the discussion. And once again, thank you so much for giving me this platform, this dignified platform for me, and put my ideas and have this speech or presentation. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
For the careful speech. Well, there is no doubt that COVID-19 has unleashed the worst global crisis in our lifetime. Thus, extraordinary policies are needed to face the deepest economic recession in nearly a century and walk the tightrope towards recovery, which will shape the economic and social prospect of this coming decade. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful speech and sharing. Now, on behalf of my organizing team, I would like to share among all the dignitaries, eminent speaker, guest, presenter, and participants that will be sending the certificate of recognition in your email address within a week. Moreover, I would like to share our review team will review all the research paper to provide necessary feedback to all the presenter of this international webinar to make it more qualitative so that we can publish it in our special issue journal, namely Lumbini Journal of Business and Economics. Now we are almost to the close end of this session. And once again, from bottom of my heart, I would like to congratulate all the organizing team for the effort and contributions, and also thank chief guests, delegates, presenters, participants for making this webinar a grand success. Now I take privilege to request chairperson of this valedictory ceremony, Professor Dr. Nagesh Bhattrai sir, to deliver vote of thanks and closing speech. Sir, please welcome.
Thank you, moderator of the session, organizing secretary, Dr. Bhagat Chaudhary sir. We are very much thankful to chief guest, Honorable Finance Minister Vishnu Prasad Paudel, Minister of Finance, Government of Nepal. Similarly, I would like to thank special guest, Honorable Chief Minister Shankar Pokhrel, Lumbini Province, Nepal, Honorable Minister Kul Prasad Keshi, including other ministers of Lumbini Province, distinguished mayors from Butwal Metro Sub-Political City and other municipalities of the Rupandai district, Professor Dharmakant Baskota, Vice Chancellor, Tribhuvan University, Nepal, Professor Dr. Hridayaratna Bajacharya, Vice Chancellor, Lumbini Buddhist University, Nepal, Professor Dr. Sri Sar Kulkarni, Vice Chancellor, Sardar Patel University, Gujarat, India, Professor Dr. Sivalal Bhusal, Rector, Tribhuvan University, Professor Dr. Paisal Nahar, Registrar, Tribhuvan University, Dr. Tilakram Acharya, Registrar, Lumbini Buddhist University, Nepal, Professor Dr. Dilraj Sharma, Dean, Faculty of Management, Tribhuvan University, Professor Dr. Manaprasad Wagle, former Dean, Faculty of Education, TU, Nepal, Professor Dr. Manand Chalise, Director, School of Management, TU, Professor Dr. Yogesh C. Joshi, Director, Professor in Management, Sardar Patel University, Gujarat, India, Professor Dr. Ranjan Bahadur Paudel, Professor, Faculty of Management, TU, Soumendra K. Das, Principal Research Officer, African Development Bank, Professor Dr. Abdul Latif Baudja, Professor of Economics, Consultant, Social Development, Mohammed B. University of Rabat, Morocco, Dr. Ines Chai, Associate Professor of Finance, Geneva School of Economics and Management, Switzerland, Dr. Man Bahadur Bike, Principal Secretary and key speaker of the session, Bagmati Province, representatives from World Bank and CEO and banks managers, presidents, chairmen and representatives from all students union, Lumbini Banija campus, all media persons representing different media houses, all the members of campus management and development council, campus management committee, academic standing committees, campus chief, and the whole family members of Lumbini Banijay campus. Thanks also goes to researchers, presenters from the different 10 countries, Nepal, Australia, India, Ivory Coast, Malaysia, Morocco, New Zealand, Philippines, and Switzerland. Participants, industrialists, entrepreneurs, practitioners, presidents, and representatives from various councils, organizations, industries, trades, and associations. Ministry of Social and Development, University Grants Commission, Nepal, and Office of Dean, Faculty of Management, Tribhuvan University for supporting the program and Nepal Research and Education Network for digital support. I hope today's program has added a brick in the field of management and social science research. If we apply the knowledge out of research activities, it will definitely contribute a lot in the field of business, management, and social sciences, and the national economy as a whole. Similarly, I want to request all the dignitaries of today's program to participate in the future international seminar, might be conference series 0203 in the year 2022 AD, because Lumbini Banijay campus has decided in advance to organize such and so programs in every 2 years. Today's webinar is not the end of the series, rather it is the second phase of the 1,000 miles to cover in the field of research. Finally, I would like to thank you all once again for your invaluable presence, support, encouragement, motivation, and patience to make the program a grand success. Meanwhile, I should not forget to give thanks to Dr. Bhagwati Prasad Chaudhary, the Secretary of Core Committee, including all the members of Core Committee, coordinators, and members of subcommittees for organizing the international webinar, for their sincerity, honesty, and commitment for timely accomplishment of the respective assignments assigned to them. Now, we have been observing this session for a long time. Therefore, now I formally would like to adjourn today's session with hope, energy, and positivism. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hope to see you all in 2022 International Conference.